should be live now. Check and make sure I'm doing things correctly. And did I hit the correct button? Waits patiently until delay in stream catches up with the other end. Okay. There we go. So, welcome to stream number 50 of the Carrabassett Valley Railroad. Happy 2021 to y'all. I believe this is my first stream of 2021. I think I could actually check that right now. Yeah, I think this is my first stream of 2021. If it isn't, Happy New Year to y'all. If this is my first, this isn't my first stream, then just happy Monday to you all. Anyways, so we are officially on stream number 50 here. So I've been kind of delaying this for a little while, kind of putting it off, because I was going to make this the route tour. Now, I was hoping to have more track laid in the newer sections and stuff like that, but I said, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to go through, because I want to talk about some things while I have some time, because I'm also taking a break from applying for jobs and waiting for jobs to call me back and other financial related stress, because, well, I'm going to put myself in the dirt if I keep stressing the way I am right now. But anyways, so we're going to start at one end and we're going to work our way to the other. So here is Bangor, Maine. This is Bangor right here. This is the very center of Bangor. All this loveliness is Bangor. This is our easternmost point for the railroad, which will consist right over here. This is our interchange point within Canadian Pacific, Pan Am, here at Northern Maine Junction. So this is where we meet them and transfer a lot of our cars and service some industries and whatnot. And yeah, go from there. Hold on, I have to adjust the chair I'm sitting on. My hips are killing me. They are absolutely killing me. So, yeah, so this is Northern Maine Junction. As you can kind of tell, there are no tracks laid. I did not get up here. I have been slowly in the last day or so working my way this way to interchange with the Pan Am and CM, or CPM, sorry. I just didn't quite get there, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm not too upset. There is a lot of intricate track work that needs to be done in here. It's a very, very interesting point, this is. This will be the point for Wheeler Yard. That is the name of the yard that we will have up here to interchange with the other respective railroads. So it doesn't require a bit of work because I have to draw in CMQ's trackage, which actually goes right by the Bangor International Airport, which I believe I'm going to have to model in some capacity. Not fully, but in some capacity. Especially because, like, you go right by it. You go right by the airport, because I will be modeling the trackage for you to drive your CP trains in on. And they come right down to here, and it's actually a cool flyover. It's a nice bridge right here in Northern Maine Junction. So we have to draw in all the industries and stuff like that. Like, I forget which ones Sean and I are deciding that we are going to service, and I forget exactly where Sean wants to put the yard. There's going to need to be a point that, Sean takes the route back for a very short amount of time to get this yard done. He's going to have... He doesn't have any time off now between now and the end of his final year in college. And then after he gets out of college, he's going right to work. So, it's going to be very interesting. But anyways, but I will kind of jump right into it because we have a lot of track to cover. So, this will be Wheeler Yard. This is here at Northern Maine Junction. A lot of industries that surround the area. There looks like there's like a gravel pit somewhere around here. There's like a conglomeration of industries. I believe this is a cement plant that's along the trackage and whatnot. Kind of deciding, like I said, who's going to service it. And I'm sure we will actually probably put a few industries on here ourselves, particularly some warehouses, maybe a small like lumber offload, just other points of interest to make this more an enjoyable point for the user. We ourselves are We are very hesitant about modeling all of Bangor, particularly because we have a lot of other towns to model right now, so I'm not too keen on modeling Bangor. Also because those are Pan Am tracks we're following right here. And run up along the riverfront, then go right pretty much through downtown. So that is a big if. Also, our large Union Station is going to be up here, and we have to figure out where that's going to go for the Pine Liner. So anyways, so we're going to kind of follow the right-of-way out. We kind of come along here, and I was starting to lay some trackage to get the idea. The tracks on the left are Pan Am, tracks on the right are us. So this is where we split off from Pan Am. And we start to go right through the woods, and Pan Am stays on their original right-of-way, which actually will hook up with the old end of the Carrabassett, which many, many years ago I drug this track all the way out to here. And this was the very end of the CBVR DEM. Now, of course, we pushed past that, and now there's more trackage delay, so there's more Pan Amisms for people to enjoy. But anyways, so I was just drawing this out, I believe, last night, trying to get the tracks to kind of take shape in a general direction. You know, there is no real way that I want to go, but I know that there's one particular industry that I have to hit, and that's a large dairy farm up here that we will be servicing, a Mafka nearby that we're moving, I believe, out of Palmyra to be over here. So the tracks at some point need to come by this large dairy farm. So this is probably one of the largest dairy farms on the route. So you can see we need to take the tracks from roughly here and kind of bring them this way. So you can kind of see the terrain that we have to traverse and whatnot. Trying to get my bearings for a second, you know, and a little bit more this way and whatnot. Yeah, you can see a lot of the terrain that we have to kind of go along. So there's the dairy farm. We got to come past that. That is, oh, I forget the name of that dairy farm. Pull my map real quick. Say that in particular, I believe, is in Levant or Herman. Let me go into Street View real quick. That, name of this farm, Bonnie Lee Dairy Farm. So I have trucks with names on the side of them, so that helps me figure that out. Yeah, that's the Bonnie Lee Dairy Farm. So we will be servicing them. Assortment of things, either bringing in feed for the cattle or whatnot. Predominantly, we'll be, you know, picking up the dairy from this facility and dragging it down to the Mafka Norwich Walk. So beyond that, there's not a whole lot else this way that we service, or at least that we plan to service. I'm sure Sean has some idea of what's out here in terms of mining or quarry operations. Pull up my list. So I did do some track work out here somewhere. So I think it's a little more this way, yeah. So I believe this is the town of Levant, Maine. Herman is down this way, which is where Northern Maine Junction sits. But this is the current end of the trackage that I was working on a little bit earlier, trying to get it to not be so miserable. That's just below the surface, but so we come along and we start a shallow climb out of here on a 0.48, which I believe turns into a 0.75, and we cross. I'm actually gonna keep my map open. We cross Main State 222, Stetson Road West, coming out of West Levant. So this is Main State 222, and there's West Levant, or Levant. So we come up the big hill here on the single main, and we start rolling along, kind of paralleling 222 for most of the way. Trying just to remember where the hell I am. Okay. So we come here and we cross Merrill Road. There's a bug on my desk, it's not, it's on my window. They'll go left. The idea is this track is, you know, kind of in the middle of nowhere. There's not going to be a whole lot of industries out this way. There might be like a logging spur or two that gets serviced out this way. Maybe a mine spur that goes off of that as well. But that's about it. This is mostly the track that leads between Northern Main Junction and, like I said, Corona, where Sebastopol Yard now sits. A lot of this line is plagued by slow rolling grades, which previously were pretty steep, but they've since kind of shallowed out a little bit. You know, so they're not as bad. Sorry, trying to match myself up. So I think we should be approaching the town shortly. So as we start to come down this hill, I think we're on a down slope of 1.7 transitioning into 1.4, and then we start to climb back up a 0.36. I believe for a moment we do level here, because right about here, this is the actual town of Stetson. So we come into town, the first crossing we hit's on Wolfboro Road, and then we cross over Stetson Road, which is right over here. There's not a lot out here. There's very little out this way. Like I said, maybe a logging camp. There is nothing in terms of industry here. At the crossroads, there's right here is a country store, and right here is a post office, and that's it. The rest is all houses. That's all that's over here. There's no industries. There's a meeting house, which I believe is a church. That's it. That's all that's in town. Just this is Stetson. A post office, a country store, a meeting house. That's all there is. So we come across Stetson Road. Keep pushing along, and the line levels out. The line should be about 45-50 through here. Just not a whole lot. In terms of industry, yes, we have no industry. Hey, Butter, how's it going? So we come along, start coming down. We do cross a little kind of bog-like thing, however you want to define this little area. There is a winery actually nearby here that I'm looking on the map and kind of seeing. There should be a winery about, trying to match it up on my end. Looks like it's about here-ish. So I believe that's a winery. So I mean, that could be something, possibly, but no real idea if that's even going to be something we bother with, because it'd be probably a boxcar or two. Mostly stuff probably coming in, like supplies, so maybe a team track nearby, but that's about it. So we're starting to approach the climb out of the kind of the long Stetson area. We're approaching the town of North Newport, which if we look on the map here, North Newport is at this crossroad right here, and then the community of Coburn is right over here. So there's like little sub-communities. So we're approaching North Newport, which we're trying to avoid, and Sebastopol Lake is like right over in that kind of gray area back there. But we need to kind of make the jaunt around, because the terrain is very unforgiving through here. Plus, we're also kind of heading toward the north end of the lake, and we can't get around that, because we need to go to Corona, which is up here. So, in order to get this hill with a relatively decent enough grade, we kind of had to do this kind of swooping 180-degree corner to the right, which I believe is on a 2.2% grade, which is pretty manageable, which then shallows out to a 2. And notice when you get going straight again, you get a hook back to the left about 90 degrees. So 180 and then 90 back to the left to get up the hill on a 2% grade. And we reach the summit of this hill. I don't believe this hill actually has a name, and if it does, I'm unaware of it. It's right next to this pond, which also has a name that I'm unable to find. Looks like Brooks Pond. So that's Brooks Pond. So this is probably Brooks Hill or something to that effect, but I can look that up on a later date. I was debating having a passing siding up here, which would be the first passing siding heading towards Bangor. It is on a bit of a small grade. It's on a 1.6, which isn't uncommon for us to have passing siding on a grade. I've thought about it because it'd be cool to have that right there at the summit. Kind of give a little use to this little access road up here. And I'm sure there'll probably be a small antenna up here for our crews to communicate. But predominantly just coming down through here, all woods. You know, again, maybe some sort of logging facility here, but not a whole lot. So keep coming down on a small, below 2%. We're bobbing down between 1 and 1.7, I believe, is the highest, or 1.73 is the highest grade we hit coming down. Start to kind of get this cut. Speed limit's going to back down here because as we cross, I believe this is Main State 11. Yeah, this is Main State. Main State something. This blue scanner again. Someone is dying. So this is 43, and we're going to hook up with 11. So we got to make this left turn. Because out here on this corner, we have a gardening facility and a farm, Eastland Farm. As we come across Exeter Road, which we will be servicing that as well. We'll be bringing them supplies and possibly taking out some sort of farmed product of some kind, possibly grain. Because it looks like they have quite a few fields around, so it'd be kind of beneficial for us to do that. But this area is defined by this large sweeping corner that goes back to the left on a bit of a downhill slope. It will be kind of banked a little bit with a super elevation, but it needs to be a little slower coming through here, especially because we are starting to approach Corna proper. And that's kind of where, you know, we go through a few crossings and we're coming through the middle of town and want to kind of slow it down a little bit. So we're still on the downhill slightly, 1.25, 1.57 as we come along. Get into a bit of a 2% grade here as we come across this bridge for the, what are you? The Alder Stream. So this is Alder Stream, which drains into Sebasticook right here. So on and so forth. Then Sebasticook drains into the Sebasticook River, which then I believe drains into the Kennebec, which then drains into the Atlantic. So we cross the Alder Stream back here, which it's a pretty cut and dry stream. I mean, it doesn't really start getting larger until this point. It reaches kind of this like large dammed inlet around Sprague's Mills, which is just down the way. Which actually Sprague Mills is right here. So there would have been like a mill back in the day, and there's a small dam here. So this is the pool for the dam. That is loud. So it's kind of that's how you can kind of tell like this is that the stream is here. Otherwise, this would have been a very small stream all the way into Sebasticook, without a doubt. But way back in the day, it must have been like a small textile mill or something that required a water wheel or something. Hey Jeff, how's it going? So that's kind of how we can tell where the stream is and why it's so large through here. Like I said, otherwise it's a very small stream. So we have this small 4-span truss that comes across the river, and we are pretty much in town. We cross back over 43 and Main State 11 again, and we come into town. Now the defining feature here in for the railroad in town is the switch right here, the junction. So if you were to go right, you would stay along the Abenaki sub to Bangor, or to Northern Main Junction. If you stayed left, you're actually following old right-of-way, which currently to this day is a ATV trail, or it is just a trail that you can ride your four-wheeler up, your snowmobile up, you can bike along it, you can walk along it, but it is an ATV trail. That is a former Main Central right-of-way. That Maine actually has a very extensive ATV trail network that is comprised of a lot of old railroad right-of-ways. Is how people in this part of the state actually get around. They're able to use their snowmobiles in the wintertime to actually get to town and get supplies and go back to their homes that might live up along the right-of-way that, you know, maybe the roads aren't too well maintained, maybe they're just not plowed in the wintertime, so they actually will use their snowmobiles to kind of get around. And it is also for mostly recreation. You know, it probably served a bigger purpose back in the day when everyone didn't really have immediate access to cars and where towns couldn't plow all their roads, so it's predominantly for recreation. But This is the Dexter branch for the Carrabassett Valley. This obviously leads to the town of Dexter, which, if we were to go even beyond that, would lead to Dover Foxcroft, which is way up in northern Maine. So we follow this old right-of-way, which would come right through the middle of town. So we come right in the middle of this very confusing intersection, which, looking at it, it's a little stretched out. It's separated by a stream, which I believe is the East Branch Sebasticook River Reservoir, which then is the East Branch Sebasticook River, which then hooks up with the Alder Stream, which then dumps into Sebasticook Lake further down the way. So, a bit of meeting of tributaries to the lake here. But this intersection is Main State 7, 43, 222, all meeting kind of right here. So, Main State 7 comes this way, 43 comes from this way, kind of comes in, crosses the tracks. Then you have Stetson Road, which is 222. 43 kind of continues on, goes this way, I believe, or actually, I'm sorry, it goes this way up on St. Albans Road, and then Main State 7 and 11, 7-11, continues down this way on, I believe that is Newport Road. There's no major industries in town. There is actually an old building that sits alongside our right-of-way, right here. I can't really make out what it is on the map. There's no real... it looks like there's a lot of excavators and farming equipment, or just heavy machinery in general. I do see some like large snow plows, so it might be a city or a public works building. Could be a public works garage. So that's all I'm kind of getting out of that. There's a gas station right here. There's a truck rental place like right over here for Penske. There's another gas station just beside the larger gas station. A Dollar General, which doesn't appear on the map, but it says it's there, so it might be a newer development. So there's nothing really in Corna for us to hit in terms of industry. There's, you know, it's another one of those towns that there's nothing really going on here. But if we push up the Dexter branch, which I will take y'all up, I actually built this last night. It's going to be a very fun intersection to build, a very traditional New England intersection to construct. Everything going good. Jaden just came to support. Well, thank you, Jeff. Appreciate the support. So like I said, this is all former right-of-way, which the right-of-way actually kind of goes this way. It didn't quite, we're not following it to the T right through here, because I believe it comes this way and follows this tree line, and you can kind of see it hooked to the right and the left, but I had to make a few edits because of how I come through town and whatnot. So we took the right-of-way and didn't do much with it here, but here is where we start following it tried and true. So it stays pretty level through here. Now, Sean found a silver mine deposit, which would sit roughly somewhere over in here, through one of the websites for the state of Maine. So we're going to be putting a silver mine a little closer to the trackage. I'm going to be putting a loadout base of this hill, so we'll have a silver mine here, which will be loading into all our open hopper ore cars that will get taken to a processing facility in Norwich Walk. But that I've yet to flesh out. I was actually working on this last night before I went to bed, so this is all less than 24 hours freshly laid, hence why I haven't really done any grading with it yet. But come along, you're going along. It's just everything's fine. No real large grades. I think like the biggest one we have so far is a 1%. It does get a little worse close to town. Now here's where things get a little interesting for us. So left is the current and true right-of-way alignment that we take, and that leads us into town that services a bulk of our industries, which I'll go over here shortly. The silver mine back there is not a part of Corna, or I'm sorry, Dexter proper, so that's not listed on here yet. But we do have quite a few industries to hit. We have Buxby Cereals, Century Cable, Dexter Lumber, A.T. Bly Glue Factory. We have 2 warehouses, and then we have 2 silver mines that sit just beyond the hills in town, so kind of up in this mountainous region back here that we're intending on hitting, which will all be closed underground mines instead of open face quarries, which is also another large thing that is predominantly done here in Maine, but I guess we're taking a different approach to this. So if we go left, and that's the alignment I'll follow currently because it's a little more fleshed out, we go behind these two large warehouses, which I've appropriately named Fuck Off Warehouse 2 and Fuck Off Warehouse 1, because we have no clue what goes on at these two warehouses. So they're just appropriately named F Off Warehouse 1 and 2. They will probably... We will figure out what gets done there. They're kind of larger facilities. Let me actually take you guys onto... Oh, that's great. Didn't know there's someone named Corna. So let's go into main real quick. So you guys get an idea of what I'm doing here. Oh, hey look, it's Main State 7 again. Alright, so this is Corna. So these are our two large facilities. So we have this large mill, which is appropriately on Railroad Avenue. Which I'll take you down into Street View. Oh, it's a bridge. I like that. Oh. Well, I didn't even know that was there. I like that. That's cool. Alright, so we got a bridge. Which is cool. But we are leading up to this large mill complex, which actually... Ah! That's what that is. Dexter Shoe Company. So they actually make a lot of... they make bowling shoes here, actually. So if you've ever been bowling, and you wear, like, red, white, and blue shoes, Dexter... Bowling... shoes. Well, that's why they're called Dexter, because they're made in Dexter, Maine. But yeah, things like this. So that's where they come out of. Wish they would show the actual model, which actually I needed to tell Sean that Fuck Off Warehouse 1 is Dexter Shoe Company. I think that's like the third shoe factory we hit in this damn railroad. But yeah, so apparently that's Dexter Shoe Factory, which I didn't even take into consideration, because I honestly kind of thought they had gone out of business many, many years ago. But yeah, so apparently that's Dexter Shoe Factory, which is there. So yeah, we're gonna have to service that. So that'll be a big part of our of what we do up here, and probably this is a big supplier of the town, where a town gets a lot of their business from. Fuck Off Warehouse number 2, on the other hand, which will probably be... I can't go that way. Let's see. Fuck Off Warehouse number 2, I don't believe is going to have any street view. Oh, okay. It being so close, on the other hand... Hey, look, people. H.H. Brown. Well, I don't know what they do. Bjorn or Born. Sorry, we're learning right now, because I hadn't actually ventured into town yet. I had just took Sean's word for facility. So they probably leech off of what goes on here. So this is both to do with shoes, I guess. Yeah, so that makes the most sense. Okay, well, that's what those do. But that's kind of cool to see that. So yeah, so we have the shoe facility here, which I think is probably just going to be us picking up stuff. You know, I don't particularly know what goes on in making shoes. I'm sure, amongst other learning, it would probably be keen for me to kind of figure that out and whatnot, but not what we're here for today. We push on, and I kind of have to level this out a little bit to kind of match the tracks or do something weird with. But this is where things start getting a little weird because we have to start grading up. So we enter a 2.4 leading up through here, kind of trying to come through town because town is very, very hilly. And I know the dem's not accurate 100%, but you know, it's close enough. I'll get to that in a second. This is just the right of way coming through, just trying to get through town, which predominantly we're not gonna service. There's nothing really out this way. The only problem is the silver mine that we want to hit is actually off the dem. The silver mine's up here in the Gridland section. I couldn't get up here. Hey Dan, welcome back to the channel. What's up from Bido? Well, I'm actually I don't know if you've been in my channel in a while, but I've actually moved back home to Saco, so hello from across the river. Hope all is well over there in the great town of Biddeford. Should be there later tonight. But I can't get up this hill. This hill is way too steep. I can't get anywhere up in there. Large cuts, tunnels, I will never make it to the top. It would be impossible for me to get there, and for ore trains it would be very hellish to get down with the power we're taking up here. So the loadout for the silver mines can be down here. Predominantly Sean wanted 2 silver mines because there's 2 silver deposits that sit roughly here and here. So Sean wanted 2. I said let's just make it 1. Now that we're moving it further down here, closer to the Dexter Regional Airport, Sean says, well, let's just go back to the original idea of 2 loadouts. I'm like, let's just get the first one built, because if I do the first one, we're going to have it here. If I was to do the second one, it'd probably be somewhere over here. But I'd much rather just have one here outside of town where the grades aren't absolutely stupid. You know, I will model this just kind of beyond town as a dilapidated state. There's like a little business here. I think it's like right about here that Sean wants to hit. I forget what they do. Something with metal, I believe. That's about it. So this is the Dexter branch. And then there's this lovely little place, which has this steep-ass grade, which leads up to it. A whole 2.77, that leads into a 3% grade. Only a few cars come up here. This is not a large industry, but only a few cars come up here to Buxby Cereal. Sean figured it's an old abandoned school or something, or an old school building that's not used anymore, because the high school sits, I believe, back up here. Yep, Dexter Regional High School. And there's just this building over here, which doesn't really do anything. No industry, we don't know like what it does in specifics, but Sean determined that it needed to be a cereal factory of some kind, which has a really nice view, if you think about it. Like, look at this. Like, imagine if you had like a little bit, you cleared out some of the trees and stuff like that. Like, look at that view. That's great. That's a great view for a factory. Even at this high school and stuff like that. Like, imagine just looking out every day out at the lake. Like, that's beautiful. Now it's blocked by the ballast of the tracks. Yay. Although I imagine this school's probably a couple of stories, but yeah. I tried it out last night with some M420Ws, which is actually our weakest 4-axle unit at getting up and down here, and even stopping on this large grade to throw the switch. The engines can get going just fine. The engines do just fine, so there's no concern with that. Your industrials, leads, and spurs can be a little steeper with grades, just because you don't have large, heavy, long manifest trains going up and down them, so you don't have to kind of worry about that. But that's this part of the Dexter branch. The right section, which I've yet to fully flesh out, goes over to here. We have Century Cable and RT Bly Glue Factory, which sits back here, which will require its own kind of spur that backs off into it. We cross Main State 7, and I believe that's 44. 94. So we cross 7 and kind of hug 94, heading over toward Dexter Lumber Company, which sits over here, which we pass right behind, which is properly marked with an X. We hook left, cross over the road again, and kind of head back here in the woods and the fields, right behind the airport, which is right there. and then head up to what is supposed to be the mine, which now we're entering some 2% grades, which wasn't seen beforehand. But that's what needs to be fleshed out over here, is some of the industries. So that is all that sits up here on the Dexter branch thus far, and all that is planned to be up here on the Dexter branch. So we will head back down it towards the town of Corna. So we've rejoined the Abenaki sub, and we're going to push on. We're actually getting relatively close to Sebastopol Yard. Just a little further up this way, which is actually along this trail, which sits up in here. I'm just going to get comfy again. I think I've been sitting so much through this pandemic that I've actually, my hips kind of hurt now, so... this building right here, off to my right, I don't believe there's anything of any particular interest. No, I think I went too far south. See, now there's this Corna. This is actually Mid-Main Metal Roofing and Siding Company right here. So there could be a little track that comes off the side to drop off some steel coils of some kind or something for their metal works, for metal roofing and whatnot, so we could probably do something with steel coils there. Crossover, I believe this is County Woods Road, right alongside Main State 11 on the Moosehead Trail. And we enter up to double track, cross the bridge for the, what body of water is that? That is the Mulligan Stream, which is dumping out into Sebastopol Lake, which off to our left is the lake itself. So this is the outlet for Mulligan Stream and Lake. And we have now reached the yard, which sits lakefront. Our railroad has great views, let me tell you that. Like, we have really phenomenal views. The EPA just probably going to be right up our ass, though, is all. So this is the entrance to Sebastopol Yard right here, which I moved our little sign that LTG made for me forever ago. So, cool little sign. Random little warehouse, small little engine support facility. Someone has messaged me. We'll get to that later. Hey, it's Logan. It's like you knew I was talking about you, so you felt apt to join. Is that what happens? It just like talk about an asset of yours and you just, magically appear? So we got the small little support facility back here. I've been kind of just taking a lot of the buildings that were over at the old Sebastopol Yard, which sits about over yonder. Right up along the horizon, way back over yonder. So trying to take some of those and translate that into how this yard is shaped up. So we just have a small engine service facility out this way, which we need just something small. You've been here for 40 minutes. No shit. Well, sorry you've been here for that long. There needs to be something out this way. Our main shops are at Kennebec Yard, which we'll get to much later once we get up the line. But obviously, being out here, we need to be able to perform some small repairs of some kind. So that's a lot of what this is, MOW facility. And a lot of the other equipment gets repaired in here, stored in there. Got your depot, engine storage tracks, fuel pad back there, sand tower, fuel tank. I was actually putting floodlights all in this yard, which I still need to put some, I believe, through here, if I can actually get them in there. Try to do something. And then we have a small little MOW loading area over here for ballast and whatnot. Which I thought was just a cool little piece of detail. Someone's house, so if anyone wants to live right near the rail yard, down on this dirt road back here, feel free to. It's actually one of Audie's houses that he made. It's very nice, very New Englandy. But yeah, that's a lot of Sebastopol Yard. Predominantly this yard is, it previously used to be our interchange point back in Newport, which again is a bit over yonder. Or actually it might be over there, I forget. I knew the yard pointed some way at it. I think it actually is over there. I'll show you it in a minute, where it used to sit. This was previously our interchange point before we realized we're 20 miles south of Northern Main Junction, and we're about 20 miles north of Waterville, 2 yards for Pan American. Why the hell would they come to our yard to pick up the freight to go back to one of their yards? At that point, they'd say, "Nah, Chief, you're bringing the freight to us." So this yard didn't make a lot of sense. We were too close to Waterville to justify this yard, and we were too close to Northern Main Junction to justify this yard being in Newport. However, this yard does serve a vital role for servicing Dexter, which is probably going to be a large operation, as well as a lot of the industries between here and Skowhegan. There are a lot of mines in the area, so this is a large staging point for a lot of our mined ore trains. There is lumber that goes on in the area, and as well as other industry, which come to find out, now we have shoes, cereal factory, other lumber facilities, cable, and so on. Predominantly, this is a lot of where our gravel trains originate out of. Now, trying to figure out what's going to happen with helper service, because previously this was a big point for helpers because there was so much gravel that went on in the area. We have about 50 some odd engines out of our 230, 40, 50 some odd rostered fleet locomotives. 50 of those are dedicated to helper service. They're lashed up in pairs, and generally they'll be thrown to the back of a train, and at some point throughout the day, you know, they get obviously attached to the rear and taken wherever they need to go. The helpers are confined to their specific districts, so those locomotives never ever leave their district. The Abenaki sub previously started in Skowhegan and went to Newport. Well, now the Abenaki sub goes all the way between Skowhegan and Northern Main Junction. This yard just happens to sit in the middle. Well, you're like, okay, well then just have them end here and call it an afternoon. Well, the problem is that the helpers are predominantly used to get up the steep grades of the Carrabassett, which the Abenaki sub is no stranger to. There are still very steep grades between here and Northern Main Junction. Now, the heaviest trains on the Abenaki are going to be originating out of here and heading south towards Skowhegan and Northern Main, or Kennebec Yard up in North Anson. So I'm trying to figure out how to divide the helpers up between Northern Main Junction and this yard. I haven't really gotten that far yet, but predominantly a lot of the trains that come out of here are going to be our heaviest on the line. They are going to be our heavy mined ore trains that are heading south toward Kennebec Yard, which then inevitably would take into Norwich Walk to be sorted and cleaned at a facility there, and then the product will be shipped out to wherever it needs to go. Wherever silver is taken to, go do things that silver, has done to it. So, anyways, rolling out of the yard. There's no on-yard industries, so there's no industries here in the yard that we service. I was considering putting a warehouse or two. Didn't make a whole lot of sense, so we passed up on that. So heading out of here. Conglomerate of just, rural roads that we go across. There's a lot of cars. It's actually a golf course right over here. There's a country club right here. Gotta head out for an online class. Alright, take care. So heading out. So this is all single track heading out of here. Predominantly the yard is also used as a passing siding for trains coming through. And trains that need to wait for one another will kind of wait there, because you had the two through tracks on the most outer side closest to the lake. The main line is considered to be the track closest to the lake, and then the one on the inside is a part of the actual yard itself. It is used by the yard, but it can also be used as a passing siding if need be. So come out of here. We're just kind of skirting along the lake. We are still following that right of way. And this is kind of the first major hill that we hit coming out of town. We're heading to a 1.8. It stays, I believe, 1.8 out of here, or it climbs at 1.8. The trail right-of-way hooks to the left, which I've signified with this kind of older, rusty-looking track. Kind of comes down on this 1.2% grade into town. Comes down right through the middle of Newport, just outside of Interstate 95, and crosses Main State 7, and then US 2, right through town in Newport, and then it's up lying into the old Pan American main line, which used to be the Carrabassett's main line, right through Newport, which is right here. And then our old yard used to sit right up here, and this is the only remnants left that tells that there was a yard here at one point, is this yard limit sign and all of this. The yard lead would have started here, and the whole thing itself would have been just right up back in here. I think the only really marker showing where things used to be is this was the entry road for the yard that would have come down, I believe, to about here and then hooked a right, which actually you can still see some pavement right there, which shows where the yard kind of used to sit. And then I remember these houses used to sit right behind those yellow warehouses that you could see at the yard that I kind of kit bashed together by the engine service shops. So that's kind of where this yard used to sit. Now it's just a large forest. Lips are very dry. Hate this time of year. It's getting so damn dry. But yeah, so we will push off Pan Am track because we don't need to really give a crap too much about what they're doing. I set that as message me. I don't know if we're going to do anything up on these tracks in terms of industry because there isn't a whole lot up here. Like, you're like, well, not a lot up here, it looks like a lot right there. Well, that's a Walmart right here. This is all like big box stores. Newport's kind of the biggest town down this way because it's also where Interstate 95 dumps off, and you start going to towns like Corona and Dexter and Dover Foxcroft. So this is kind of the big community. You also got the lake, which people come up to and spend a lot of their time at. Spatswood Lake. It's one of the bigger lakes in the region. So a lot of commerce is done down here in Newport, and plus you're starting to get close to Pittsfield, then you're getting close to Waterville, which is close to Augusta, and Lewiston, Auburn, which is starting to head down toward the other part of Maine. So Newport's kind of like that halfway between the state capital and Bangor, along Interstate 95, so there is a bit of commerce that goes on through here. But I'm not here to talk about specifically the towns themselves. I'm here to show you the right-of-way and the route tour, even in its earliest state. More LTG, advertising. Walmart. So that's going to be up here, and I need to do like I think it's a Dollar General that sits here, which I'm actually surprised you never did a Dollar General, Logan. So those things are like any small town anywhere has them. That's how you define a small town. But I think Dave Snow has a model. That's what I use up in what's that town? Kingfield, which you'll see. I think it's like the only building in Kingfield. So there's supposed to be a passing siding, actually just up here, which allows trains to move in between the yard and also just kind of have a place to stop and wait. There originally was a passing siding up here, which used to be right before the bridge, which sat, I think, roughly about... I think the bridge was like right here, because I remember it coming down... Yep, crossing still here, so came down through here, and I can actually see where the grass was. There's a mile marker. So yeah, the bridge would have been like right here. I would have linked in here and gone this way and hooked in back here. So there's going to be a passing siding here, which will start on this side of the road and then go back that way, or however that's going to work out. Hey Matt, welcome. So we'll have a passing siding here. This will be control point Newport. And then we start getting into familiar territories. So this is one of the more scenic areas along the right-of-way, which actually I need to bring all this brush and tree foliage crap in closer to the rail. Which actually I'm thinking about taking the terrain, flattening it, back to its original state, and then using a bow spline, so I don't have to worry about the fucking textures, and then I can just bring the trees up alongside it, which would probably give it a better look, but I'll wait and see. Yeah, this is one of the more heavily... This is like always been my test area to see how the trees look along right away. And like I said, I'm too wide through here, but it is what it is. And previously we hit our first industry, ADA fences, which can usually get serviced by a boxcar. Usually a train with cut lumber will back up into here. This is kind of just their track that is service for them, do a bit of business, so we were able to build them a little spur back up into here. What is going on with this track? Okay, that is, yep, that is something. I don't know what happened there. Did I fuck up somewhere? I feel like I did, but I'll do something with that at some point. That's why I'm doing this, I guess. But this is ADA fences. It's kind of cool because like they have like this old style building which sits up along at the front, and then they have just kind of like a hodgepodge of warehousing that kind of sits along the back. It's like a house and then just kind of like a yard full of just supplies, and you know, so I'm beefing it up a little bit to kind of look more like a business, like an industry. But yeah, so they kind of have a lift, a little platform here that they come and can take stuff off a car. I'll probably tweak this a little bit, make it more like a platform that a forklift can get onto, and a little more appropriate, but that's just there for now, the rough version. Yeah, but I have the flag coming across US 2. That's an industry that gets hit just kind of whenever. But coming along, track speed through here is 45, which a lot of the sections previously on the Abenaki are 40, 45, 50. You can kind of get pretty quick coming through here. Yeah, and this road kind of signifies where I moved a lot of the foliage in closer to the actual right-of-way, which this is what I'm going to be going for, is the trees are, you know, up against the tracks. We don't have a lot of the wide right-of-ways, unless you're down my end, but even still, the right-of-ways aren't terribly wide. So here's our second switch, and another major industrial point for the Carrabassett. This is another large kind of mining spur for the Sebascook Yard. This is the previously the Newport Narrows branch, but now is the Heartland branch. Heartland is a small town. It's a little bit over. There's Cambridge. There's St. Albans. There's Newport. So this is Heartland right here. Should be anyways. Yeah, Heartland Volunteer Fire Department. So Heartland's a pretty interesting little community because they have this tannery which sits right here. Oh look, a dollar store. No way. Yeah, they have this tannery here that sits alongside the, I believe this is the Sebascook River. There's Thompson's Brook. What the hell are you? You are... Why don't you tell me? John M. Brook. Douglas Pond. That's the Sebascook River. Like, maybe it was the Sebascook something. Yeah, there's this large tannery that sits up here, which Sean was always very keen on hitting, and then this kind of gravel pit back here, which I believe we're inevitably going to have to hit, as well as Sebascook Lumber, which sits back up in there. And looking at my note, I don't have anything for Heartland as of yet. Yeah, nothing for Heartland yet. Sean, again, would kind of have more of it, but I know the big thing was hitting the tannery, which is actually still in active service. There was kind of this facility here, which looks all abandoned, because it looks like that's the outline of a lot of buildings. It looks like they tore down a lot of buildings. And then hitting Sebascook Lumber, which is back up in here, which pretty sizable lumber yard. It looks like they're doing cut lumber, so this would be a sawmill. It's a lumber store, so yeah, lumber store, sawmill, possibly. But this would be a point to bring a lot of our logged things. Oh yeah, Irving Tanning Community Center. So this is Irving Tanning. So that was kind of the big thing for Hartford, or Hartland, Hartford. But back here in Newport, which is pushing Palmyra, I believe this is actually Palmyra that I put this in. Yeah, as my note would state. So back there we have ADA fences. So, and then previously over here, which before I forget, was the old Mafka that I put here, which is now abandoned. We took the Mafka out, and it's going to be moved closer to Sebasco Yard, Corna, Dexter, Bangor, 11, all that stuff. There's already enough Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association nearby, so I'm going to model this as an abandoned facility, saying that there was a Mafka here at one point, but it is now since gone, which would kind of make this kind of not very well utilized. Actually, I need to re-hook up all this crossing, because when Sean merged the new dem with the old dem, he merged the old dem onto the new dem, which fucked up all my crossings and stuff, so yay. But anyways, so that was the old Mafka, which I need to get rid of, but we have the Heartland branch, which comes off this way. It's this long kind of swooping corner. And back up in here, I made a pit for the Mineral Springs mine. This is a mining prospect, I believe, for either silver or copper. You know, and being an open-faced mine, they can kind of get a hodgepodge of products, be it limestone, you know, granite. They can get sand, dirt, you know, to be used for fill and stuff like that. I mean, just a number of different, just kind of mined products out of here, as well as possibly the silver and the copper and stuff like that, or whatever it is that they were in here for. So this is an open-faced quarry, and this is kind of the track's how it's going to go. So it's kind of a weird little maneuver to get in here, because it was kind of cramped. So this was like the best design that I could use to get stuff into here. So it requires a bit of pre-planning, and this train generally gets its own traffic. It's not utilized by any other locals. But that's just how it is. So get to mind map. That's gonna be kind of fun to play around with, and just kind of make a hodgepodge of different. Technically, don't want mine trains coming down the hill and having to brake for a crossing, which also might change the crossing back up the way closer to Mineral Springs. That will probably end up getting lighted and gated as well, or at least lighted. So now we're heading into 2%. We have a couple of crossings up here as well, right up in here, which this is still in Palmyra, I believe, or one of the sub-communities. Now we're heading down. We're heading down a 2% grade toward the Spascook River. 0.4. This is Newport Narrows. This is the Narrows mine. Again, not quite sure what they mined here, be it copper or silver, but this is an underground mine. Mine shaft kind of back up here on the side of this hill, you know, hill region and what here, and then they have the loadout right there, which need to get tweaked a little bit, be a little more refined with the branch coming in. So I'll probably have the branch kind of stay, instead of curving so much, I'll probably have it stay straight and then curve, and then do the branch off into there. And previously it ended because someone's house is right here, and now I was like, oh, no, that's where I ended. I don't want to blow up this person's house. You know, it's just the run around for the train and whatever, and then what have you. And now I need to blow up that person's house. So sorry to that person that sits there. We can go pay respects to their house, which I believe would sit. Let's see, where would your house be? Something Hill Road. Fort Hill Road, their house. It's around here somewhere. The road used to go this way. Huh. That's weird. I guess the dem has changed over time. Very weird. Well, either way. So the branch is projected to continue up through. It's going to kind of come through this way and find its way into Heartland, which is right here. Like I said, we have the tannery, and then we have the lumber company, which sits up in there. A lot of the town sits around the tannery itself, so getting to the tannery is going to be an issue. So it's going to be a little difficult to get to the actual tannery itself, but I'm sure we'll find a way, be it having to blow over a house or two. Silent that. And the lumber company's back up there, so again, this will all be kind of figured out. A lot of this is a lot of looking at the map and then just staring at it until something kind of comes to you, like, you know, like, okay, I should probably take it this way, and it is a lot of just kind of messing around, and that's a lot of how this route's taken shape over time, is, you know, putting something down, messing about, going, I think we could have done that a little better, but, you know, not too sure, so, you know, we mess around with it for a little while, and we're like, okay, yeah, that didn't particularly work, so we'll try again. We'll go a different way. At the time, maybe it's like, oh yeah, this looks good, and then you go back, like, I'm not particularly thinking that was a good idea. Let me try this real quick, and then something looks better, like, oh yeah, much, much better. So, but yeah, so, a little sad that there's going to be nothing back up in here for us to hit. I mean, I could put something in this area's place, but, no. I was pretty happy with how the little community of Palmyra was turning out. Such as such. So we come on back down the Abenaki sub, doing 45. So we approach, I think, our second crossing after getting back on the. Well, this would have been our second crossing, but now this is like crossing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is like our 7th crossing now, which I need to hook up. But this was like our 2nd crossing that we hit after getting out of town or whatever. Going along, this is the old Palmyra west side, or this is the Palmyra siding for Mafka. Specifically built for the Mafka. This was not a passing siding, but now it's kind of pointless and isn't going to see a whole lot of service anymore. But what is my cat doing? What are you doing, Topes? Hi. What are you doing? Happy kitty. Hold on. I had to take a break to pet the Topes. Oh. Is that all you wanted? Weird kitty. Just wants a plastic bag open so he can stick his head into it. He's sticking his head in a plastic bag. Now he's trying to get into the plastic bag. Yep. I think my cat is broken. I wish I could show you all this. It is stupid. Oh, Topes, what are you doing? He's all happy. Peachy keen over there. He's nothing wrong with him. Yeah. You're alright, Topes. You're alright. Now why are all your plastic bags on the floor? Nah. Alright. Well, back to this now. So anyways, so we come along, we cross back over the Heartland branch right over here, which I've come to like. I think it's pretty cool, but realistic, not sure. come along at a brisk pace, hit our second or our 8th crossing, which is near kind of the outskirts of Palmyra. It's like the second center to Palmyra, I believe. Or maybe it is the center of Palmyra. Because it would sit roughly about here. So it'd be kind of just down here. So this is actually, yeah, the kind of just other crossroads, so whatever you want to call it. It's a road. It's up here, Madawaska Road. So this is the first control point that I have currently placed down. This was the first siding that you used to hit. Now be the second one outside of Newport, because the other siding kind of counted as the yard siding, because you had to kind of go through town and whatnot, and there wasn't really room for the siding in town because Pan Am was right there. So this was the first major siding heading out of Newport toward Kennebec in Skowhegan. So this is L Hill siding, which if you're on the right track and down, it pushes down to a 35, because you're never going to use this track unless you're getting out, unless a train is holding out here. This is the holdout track. This is track 2. This is track 1. Now, how I've labeled the tracks predominantly, and maybe I need to flip this around, because track 1 is always going to be the mainline track, and track 2 will be the actual holdout. Track 2 is always going to be the track that kind of curves off, and is where trains will be holding. As it is right now, actually, I don't think I did that. I think this is track 1. Yeah, I think the track on the right, if I'm remembering how I did this correctly so many years ago, track 1's always on the right, track 2's always on the left, looking at it from a north or south to north perspective. So, you know, north being roughly this way. Track 1's always facing, you know, it's closer to north. Track 2's always closer to south. You know, if your line starts in the east and suddenly, you know, you find yourself looking back this way, curving up, but you have a siding, well, kind of comes down to a weird point at that point. I think I need to redo it because it's a little wonky in my opinion. Track 1's always going to be the main line, and track 2's always going to be the siding. So this needs to be track 2. This will be track 1, because even I confused myself there for a hot second. But 35 on that track, 45 on this track. As we kind of come down the hill, because now we're approaching what they call the Narrows, as we approach L Hill, which has been nicknamed by crews to be Hell Hill, because it's called L Hill, so just add one letter, you have Hell Hill. This appropriately was named Bitch Hill at the very beginning of the Carrabassett itself. Because I started building the town up in northern Maine, Chain of Ponds. That was the first town I built. But the first major line work I did was up here. And once I got the line laid down out of Newport and started rolling west towards Skowhegan, this was the first large hill I hit. This was the first major pain in my ass that I hit. This hill right here. And I didn't know it had a name, so me and Sean called it Bitch Hill, which, come to find out, it was called L Hill. So appropriately, it was named Hell Hill. So, kind of funny how that works out, I suppose. But Hell Hill, or L Hill, starts out with a 2.2% grade, which quickly shallows back out to 1.5, and then just starts climbing. I think you hit a 2.2, and you hold all the way up the hill. And you just hold, and hold, and hold, and hold, and hold, and hold, and hold, until you get about to here. Now the track speed's 50. You will never see 50 going up the hill, both sides. You breach the hill, and you transition into a, now heading down, 2.3. I could probably shallow that out back there to kind of cut through the top of the hill, so you can kind of maybe reach a little bit of safety quicker. But I'm, you know, not sure yet. This road used to go all the way through, and then I think Sean had an older or newer version of Logan's roads than I did or whatever, so that got corrupted, but it's there, just have to put it back. So now you're coming down the hill. The track speed's still 50 because you get this nice, long, sweeping, super banked corner, or whatever the fuck that's called, super elevated corner. Come along and you hit the bottom. So that's on a transition between a 2.3 back up to a 1.5 or whatever. Then you hit a 2.26 going up. So now you're going back to the other side, which then levels out at 2.4. This hill over here isn't the worst because it's shorter. And also you had all that speed going down the hill, which, I mean, technically you had the 45 going up on the other side. I don't know why the other side tends to be a bit rougher, but you have, you're coming down, and you should be at 50 miles an hour by the time you hit the bottom of that hill. Like, I've always been at 50 coming down that hill. That's just also kind of help the crews avoid from having to try and slow down and use the momentum to kind of get back up the next hill. Because, just would help if we could use that momentum coming down the hill and put it into something, getting up another hill. But this hill kind of levels out for a while before it transitions back into another grade. The grade's kind of always changing and fluctuating through here. And then you just kind of start going down once you get to this point. You cross back over US 2 again in a downhill 2.4 and kind of come along. I think one of the grades is a little steeper than it's reading. Hey Tobes. Now he's in the window. And then you just kind of bottom out here. So L Hill is kind of split into two sections. First, the major section if you're coming from Newport, which is actually at L Hill. Then whatever's this called. I don't know what this hill is called. I was never actually able to find the name for it. There's a speed transition here, which it's supposed to be at 40, but this signal always sets it to 30, and I don't know why. Don't know why this signal always sets it to 30, but it always does. So that's 40 through there, and then it backs you down to a 30 right beyond this signal here. Cross over this small bog, make a sharp corner, which I'm probably going to do some more tinkering around with here. I'll probably just kind of drag, maybe shallow out this corner here, come across this way, and then just aim for this. Try and shallow out that right-hand corner as well. Then you hit the next siding, which, I try to keep the sidings on both sides of the hill. This siding needs to get edited anyways, because I believe it is uphill both sides for this siding heading into Canaan here in Maine. So this is the Canaan siding. Track 1 is now still on the left because the diverging track will be the holdout track, so trains generally stay on the this track here that my compass is on. Which then they both meet on this corner, so it's like who's really diverging anyways, but it's defined by the other end of the siding, the east end. Cannon's the siding is kind of defined by this sharper corner here, which I don't know why I didn't just come through here. I think I was worried about this being a bog, but I could have just probably kept coming this way and taken a corner. I don't know why I didn't, or either that, or just even kind of just swept a corner through here anyways. Don't know why I didn't, but I didn't. It's always been defined by that sharp corner, which that sharp corner's days are probably numbered, because I don't like it. Anyways, but leaving the siding over here in Cannon, you hit another 40-mile-an-hour change to try to get this trains back up to speed, which that would help getting the trains up to speed coming through the siding, was to kind of eliminate this sharp corner. I mean, I'd still back the trains down to a 30-35 through here, but it would just help kind of keep the speeds up and cut down the actual travel time through here, especially also this corner. If I could keep this corner to kind of maybe come to or drag it out a little further, come down to here, go straight. I could try to keep the speed up, 30, 35, maybe even 40. I'm very apt for 30, 35 through here, especially because it is the siding. But that's generally what I have to do back there. And then, of course, the big thing all back through here is the foliage, the ground textures along the right-of-way, and then working out from the right-of-way. My big goal is to get at least the right-of-way, the immediate right-of-way, at least scenic with trees, even just a little further beyond that to give some depth, and then just working beyond the right-of-way. That's a big goal right now, is just to work from the right-of-way and just go from there. Even coming through towns is getting scenes along the right-of-way established, and then working out from there. That is the big goal this heading out this year. So we come through Cannon, we have 2 crossings coming down this hill, and then we cross this kind of large, I think it's like a stream or a bog, I kind of forget. I'll West 2 down. There's Tilton. I say there's Civvy Pond. I think that's the outlet for Civvy Pond. No, I think that's Civvy Pond. Oh no, let me see. Douglas Pond. Oh, there's Morrill Pond. Or Corner. Let's see. Well, now I don't know where I am. What are you? At Civvy Pond. So now I'm over here. What are we doing over here? Great question. Couldn't tell you. Sorry, there's just so much damn stuff on this route. It's a little hard to keep track of sometimes. So there's Cannon. Cannon or whatever. Tilton Corner. Cannon. So where are you? Ah, the Carrabassett stream. So now we're hitting the Carrabassett stream, which I didn't think that's what that was called, but apparently it is. So yeah, that's the Carrabassett stream that we cross right here, coming through Cannon. So one of the namesakes of the railroad. Now this section here used to be pretty fun. So we had the bridge, right? We had this little bridge right here, which I think this is a little too stretched, but neither here nor there. So the fun thing about this section was we went up this hill, then down it, then up this hill, and then down it again. So it was like this weird ski jump thing, and it'd be cool because your train would come along, you'd watch it kind of hump this one, then go up that one and start to descend the next hill, and it's like, why not instead of that, so to avoid all the throttle changes, because we're also coming down this hill and leveling here, just to kind of go through and make a cut. Wow, what a novel idea. So we did. So we not only eliminated a 1.8% grade, I mean, we still have this 2%, but we eliminated a 1.8 up, 1.8 down, 2% up, and then a whatever down, to just that 1-2% on the other side. So come along here. So that's what pond is that? That's Oaks Pond between Lake George, not to be confused with the one in New York State. So we have, so we have the pond there, and then we got a lake over there for Lake George, which, funny enough, this Lake George looks like the other Lake George just a touch, how the kind of the hills surround it and whatever. So kind of cool, the similarities between the two, because I have been to Lake George, New York. Very cool area. I've always loved this area. Coming down, especially, you know, as you descend in, you kind of go past this pond. You have the mountain starting to appear in the background. I would like to kind of keep this area open along the right-of-way, kind of as a lookout, a scenic vantage point for the user to enjoy. I know the railroad obviously wouldn't do that, but no, I'm going to do that, so. This area has always been interesting, particularly because it has these weird S-curves, which I could probably just kind of go this way and maybe just do a long corner, or just kind of maybe not do this weird S thing, but it was what it was. I was trying to find the path down, down the hill. Now, previously the track over here, because I think previously we did the right, then the left, and then it stayed straight, then slowly hooked right again. Used to come down through here, and then started to come back up the hill right over here. And we went into a tunnel right about there. And we rode this tunnel through here, and I think we hooked a left. Yeah, roughly in the same area. I think we popped out like over here-ish. I forget exactly where we popped out, but right away was a little different than it used to be. So instead of doing that and having a weird left hook in the middle of this long tunnel, which was over a mile long, I took the right away, and instead of going down into here and then up, I decided just to hook it right and keep going up. So now the right of way goes up I believe it goes up from a 2.3 to a 2.6, so this hellish 2.6% grade, which tries most of our units. So we get up this large 2.6% grade heading up this hill, and originally I was just going to go over the mountain. I said, nope, fuck the tunnel, I don't want the tunnel, I'm going to go over the mountain. I could, even at a 2.6 and even higher, I was at a 2.99% grade. You know, because I was like, oh, if I can see the number 2, I'm doing okay. Not the case. So this large-ass grade. I went up it, and I could not get anywhere. I couldn't get up over this mountain. No matter what I did, I'd always have to have a tunnel. So I went as far as I could before I'd have to start making a cut and hook left. And right here, I mean, this is where you're begging to start doing something. You're begging to, possibly start hitting a down slope or just something. So you enter the tunnel on a 2.6, and the tunnel actually, the whole way, slowly starts to level out and then descend on the other side. So the whole way through the tunnel, you're starting to transition from the climb to the descent. So it's kind of cool how this tunnel is built. So you never truly can actually see the other side, because also it slowly curves a little bit. That was partly my fault, but I kind of like the idea of, they were trying to go straight, but over time they just slowly kind of curved. They weren't meeting anyone on any other side, but then when they popped out, they weren't exactly straight from where they entered, so they're like, we're just going to roll with it. And they did. So we come out into this cut over here, and then we hook our hard left. Your train's just starting to gain back in speed. I believe the speed limit is still 40, but it's going to be changing here shortly, because, you get these nice corners, but somewhere down here, I believe there's a speed limit change. I want to say, right here, 25, which I'm going to be changing that to not be so abrupt, because, it's a very abrupt changing grade that I don't particularly like. So I'll be doing a little bit of work with that. Maybe shallowing this out and having the bridge be on a slope as well. We'll wait and see. But now we're heading into Skowhegan, and this has always been kind of the marker to entering Skowhegan, was this bridge over here. This used to be the first bridge before you'd go across the Kennebec on the second bridge, which would lead you into the Y, which is now changed. This body of water that we're crossing is... What are you? This is the Wessarunset stream, which I believe is also how we've named the yard here in Skowhegan, which is Wessarunset Yard. So this is the Wessarunset stream. I do have a little bit of tweaking to the bridge to do, because actually one thing that J-Class pointed out to me when he was doing his review, more or less, of the route, was that this was too stretched. And I never noticed it. I'm like, nah, it's fine. But after I looked at it for a while, and even Sean's like, yeah, it's a little stretched. So I'm going to come back here and do some editing with the bridge and actually properly measure it out. That was a big stretch, Toby. Speaking of stretching. Oh, what a guy. So that will get properly measured out and fixed heading forward. Small trailer park community. There's nothing over here. It's just a dead-end road with plots of land for sale. It's a quiet zone for this crossing in particular. So we... no horn. We do ring the bell, though. That will be something that I note. That we just ring the bell coming through. And now we're at the yard. So the yard is actually we're gonna be opening this up to a double track heading into the yard. So this will be the siding, because this is actually a major point for the railroad. So this is where two subdivisions meet, as well as a helper division point ends and begins for a big part of the railroad. So previously the track used to come through here, then I think it would hook left, and then you can kind of see where the edge of the bridge used to be. So the bridge used to come across here, and then it would kind of end up somewhere over here. I believe this is where the Y was, so actually kind of more go this way, I believe. In some fashion, so yeah, I would kind of come across this way. There was like a small bridge here, and then the Y. You had this weird Y right here, which was on a slope, and it was very tight. It was very slow. This was all 20 miles an hour. But what's happened now is and then this was all the Abenaki sub. The Abenaki sub never ended. So on this Y, the Abenaki sub turned right and then continued into Skowhegan via this way, roughly, and there was the station right here, and then the tracks kind of came in and curved through town, and I believe our crossing count was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the tracks were like somewhere here doing weird S-turns and stuff, and there's like another crossing back here. It was like, however many crossings. I forget what number I ended up on, but then this crossing to tack onto all of those. Not only that, but then you had the Y, or the switch right here, to go over to here to come up the hill, which I think this was the hill. Yeah, so we were coming across into Skowhegan to then come up this hill, street running on a one-way street. So we're in the left lane of this one-way street, going up the hill. And when you get to the top of the hill, it transitions from one-way to two-way traffic. Dobie. What? Hello? Yeah, so we go up the hill. Gotta make sure everything is not dead on my end. I kind of did a weird thing for a second. Okay. Hold on, let me just reset that real quick. I think something borked on my end with my chat. Like, I think it's nothing's happened, but yeah, it was being weird. Toby, your cat, hello. Yeah, and then it would come up the hill, and then it would come up to here, and then loop into the industrial park back up here, which it was just a mess. It was a massive mess. I was looking at it. Is it this warehouse? No, it's not this warehouse. This warehouse is okay. Yeah, this is the new warehouse I put down. Okay. But yeah, so instead, how Skowhegan now works is the Abenaki sub comes up here, and then right at this Y, the Abenaki sub ends. So this is the end of the Abenaki. The Abenaki now dead ends here in Skowhegan. So what actually goes by now is the Kennebec sub. Kennebec sub obviously is named such for the river it follows pretty much its whole way. It starts up in North Anson, which actually dances around the Kennebec River, which is pretty much right through here, where the Carrabassett and the Kennebec meet. So the Kennebec sub starts down here, and then follows the Kennebec River the whole way. It pretty much just comes down alongside it, and then, of course, I have to play the trackage, but right there, you can just see it. Those are tracks currently used by Pan Am. And then we come into Waterville Yard, which is along the Kennebec River. So the Kennebec sub follows the Kennebec River for the whole way. So that's what happens there, and the Kennebec sub just goes across the Y and then across my now even larger bridge, which I kind of really like, because it's just even more impressively large and fuck off. Like, this bridge is just has no reason to be this big, but it is. And it's impressive. I believe there's actually a picture that I saved of the old bridge, so you can get an idea of the difference. If I can find a picture, I know it's a picture around here somewhere. Let's see. Yep, so there's a partial picture of the old bridge. Find a better one so you can kind of get a better look at it. Yep, so there's a better picture of the old bridge, how it kind of came across. I believe this was the retirement train for Jeep 15s, and I want to say, even with all these Jeeps on the front, this train still struggled. I think there was still possibly some overheating issues with this train. Yeah, that was all the old Jeep 15s leaving the Carrabassett. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Seems to be a 9th unit back there, which I forget what that 9th unit was. What was that 9th unit? 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, all the same. Let's see, do I have any proper photos of that bridge? So I know I obviously took it out recently, and I think I did take some just photos of it before I took it out. Here's a good photo. is nice. I don't reckon I took a photo of that bridge specifically, which I kind of find annoying. Of course, it's going to be in a live stream somewhere. Like, the bridge obviously is through all my live streams from the time I built it till about recently, so it's in there somewhere. A little shameful, I never took a photo of it. I also kind of find shocking. Give me 1 second. Won't look much longer, but I just kind of want to see. Not important. But yeah, so this is the new large fuck-off bridge that exists up here. Now, following the right-of-way to the right, because, well, there's really nothing to the left. The right-of-way kind of comes along and follows the tracks that I had laid. There's going to be a company over here called Carrier Chipping. And then we come south to this giant-ass paper mill that is currently serviced by Pan Am, which was a large thing that I wanted to do, because the dam used to go to here. And we were like a mile or two from this giant paper mill that I wanted to hit. And then the line just kind of continues south along the Kennebec River, which I'll follow real quick. Let me get back to Skowhegan. So yeah, we kind of follow alongside the river, heading southward. I think I've actually been alongside this trackage, heading home last March. And then we start to get close, and then hooks in with Pan Am here, and then we have Waterville Yard, and all of Waterville to inevitably hit Industries Unknown. That's more Sean's alley of what he's planning for Waterville, but that's besides the point right now. So this is West of Runset Yard. It's a small division point yard that services Skowhegan. It's also home to the helpers for the Abenaki sub. So the Abenaki helpers are stationed here. I was in the middle of reconstructing a yard, but I think I went to bed or something, or must have fallen asleep, or was just like, no, fuck it, I'm tired, I'm done. Skowhegan is still very busy. We still come through a very busy part of Skowhegan. I think now we have 1, 2, 3... Skowhegan is going to be the weird one. So we come in roughly here. Go in between like this bus lot and these houses, so we have like, we actually go through a baseball field, which kind of sucks. I'll move the baseball field over some. Yeah, so we have like technically 1 maybe crossing right there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crossings now, and then we're also servicing this mill that Sean wants to, because that's the whole reason why we took the route through town instead of around it. Yeah, so we have 6 crossings now coming through town, so it's a bit better than the 1,000 that we had previously. But the nice thing about Skowhegan is the large industrial park up at the back. So we have this on a hill, per usual, coming up through. We're heading up to the industrial park, which over here is Kennebec scrap. So there's a scrap yard here for 52-foot open guns. And then we have a kind of hodgepodge of different industries here currently. So off to my right here is I believe this is Genplex? I can tell you in 1 second. I always forgot what that one was. I used to have the label down. Oh, professionally forgotten. Oh, shut up. Maine Wood Heat Company. Why do I not have that written down? So the main wood heat company, they build wood-burning stoves, pellet stoves, and stuff like that. So all that gets built here. So predominantly, we're just picking up product. I don't really think we're dropping off stuff. We could probably drop off steel coils to them. So every now and again, we'll drop off maybe a gun with steel coils. And they make wood stoves here, predominantly out of metal, steel. So we have that. Back here we have Genplex, which sits here. I believe it's now partly a dance studio. They do like plastic piping through here. So predominantly we're just bringing in a boxcar for them. Down over here is Central Main Power. This is just a dispatching center for them for their line trucks. There's not really anything there that we could do. I could probably put a track right here, and then a small gate for them with a little road and whatnot to maybe offload cable drums that gets hauled in, possibly. But for the most part, this is just where the trucks get dispatched out of to go do line repair or whatever have you. We could also drop off telephone poles, so I probably will give them like a team track, but that's what goes on right there. What else do we have out of here? We have Northeast Doran, I believe you are. Yeah, Northeast Doran, just had to double check. This is Northeast Doran. They do metal fabrication. They do like custom-made metal. It looked like they did like, I don't know, they just work a lot with metal. Because we were trying to figure out like what they did there. Cause it just said Northeast Doran, and they just made things out of metal. Yeah, I didn't really say like what they did. Like, yeah, metal fabricators. Visit their website real quick. Oh, we can't reach that. We can't reach that. Yeah, they do like railings, I suppose. Like, oh, so it looks like they do stairs, but they did like originally their website used to be like, yeah, you could do like these cool like fire rings and stuff like that. Like, they just did like a whole bunch of other stuff. It was actually quite interesting. Yeah, it looks like they did the overhead of the jet port, which news to me. So it looks like a lot of this stuff can be, I might give them like a larger shop right here. But you're looking at it, it's like they don't have a large facility. It's all kind of very small right here, but they get the job done. So, but we have them a track up alongside one of their facilities right here. All their stuff kind of gets loaded into and whatnot. We'll give them a larger loading area, so if they ever need to load stuff on a flat car. But yeah, I guess they're taking and doing larger steel projects, which at first I didn't know. The website didn't give a whole lot of detail. Their website looks like it got a revamp recently, or from the last time I checked it. So yeah, it looks like they're doing larger projects. Back here is Carrier Trucking, which is also home to Carrier Chipping. So the other place that's the other chipping place, that's I believe that's gonna be for let's see, it's a chipping facility just south of Skowhegan on let's see. Yeah, Carrier Chipping, and then up here is Carrier Trucking. So it looks like there's two chipping facilities because they do chipping over here as well, and storage of log. So I put a chipping facility here. So there's two Carrier Chippings, which is kind of funny. So we have Carrier Chipping here, and then Carrier Chipping Southtown that we service. And then this previously was a Maine Organic Farmers and Growers Association, which did a lot of just produce shipping. Now it's kind of unnamed, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it, because Sean decided that we shouldn't have a Mofka here, because we already got a Mofka nearby that's much, much larger. So I don't know what they'll do here. So if you have an industry that can take a boxcar or two, in some sense of realism, let me know, because there's nothing really going on with this building. Also, a really nice car model. Love that car model. Yeah, so not a whole lot going on here with this industry. Then that's kind of that. That's all the industrial park is. Pretty busy. Then on the other side of town, there's a New Balance shoe outlet factory, which sits right about here-ish, that we were servicing, that we still are going to service. I just have to figure out how to get there now, because now I got to take it through some neighborhoods, and then oh hey, it's Thomas Holmes, holy hell. Now I have to get it over to here, so it's going to be quite interesting. But pushing beyond west of Runset Yard and Skowhegan and going through the hodgepodge and mess of crossings, you go up a large hill, which I believe is on a 2.6, I think it hits a 2.7 briefly, percent grade on the hill. Then you start getting beyond town, and opens up to the other siding, which will service the Y and Yard for Piabanaki and Kennebec subs. Which this goes for quite a ways, and then it stretches all the way back out to almost the Kennebec River again. This is our second Kennebec crossing heading into Skowhegan, which I love. I really do love this bridge. Like, this is actually one of my favorite river crossings on probably the whole route. I really do love this bridge. So, one thing I have not added that I previously had on the old, or my version of the Carrabassett when I was tinkering around with things, was I had a switch here, which had a bit of long lead that came all the way back down this side of the river to hook up to Hammond Lumber. Hammond Lumber's back here. We still service them. I choose to service them. I was also planning on putting another industry in somewhere here with a loadout, possibly another chipping company or something else. Maybe a small gravel outload or something of the sorts. Maybe they just load scrap, or I don't know. But if you have another industry in mind that you would like to see back here that would take a couple of cars, do let me know, and I can try to put that in there. But now we are pushing on beyond Skowhegan, and we're pushing up the line. Another old alignment of the line used to go this way, kind of do some weird S-turns, and then curve into the mountain, which you could kind of still see where the line was. I now have a new method of like shallowing that out and erasing the evidence. But instead, I decided to take the line left up the hill, which I believe it's a holds a 1.6 up the hill, and reaches near a crossing and comes back down. The line speed dip up from 20 through town to 35, back to 25 again, because we are hitting Norwich Walk. So as we're coming down to Norwich Walk, old right-of-way we are hitting here. So this is actual old right-of-way that we are branching into, which is only the Norwich Walk spur. This was Main Central's line, I think. I forget where this went. But this is the Madison branch that would head up into Madison, Maine. So this is where we go. But this is the Norwich Walk spur for us. The line would push beyond town and whatnot. And it would continue on this kind of discolored line right here. But instead we curve right up the Norwich Walk spur, come to a flag crossing. And we have two main industries right here and one kind of further back, but I'll start over here at our most detailed one, which is the Maine Organic Farmers and Gardeners Association Dairy Processing Plant Norwich Walk, or Moffitt Dairy Norwich Walk. This by far, I think, is the most detailed and fleshed out industry so far on the route. I still have some tweaking to do because I got to come back here and just do, instead of splines, I'm just going to do road textures instead of the splines, which I think will probably turn out better. But this is the main dairy processing plant, and also why Norwich or Skowhegan doesn't have a produce facility is because they do produce here at this little shed on this side of the plant. But the main part of the facility is the dairy processing. So all the dairy gets dumped off in here, which this was a pain in my ass to detail, because I have been neglecting to use layers, which is a massive problem on my end that I need to correct here soon. I think going forward I will utilize more layers because it is probably much easier to do so, but so far I have not used any layers on the Carrabassett other than what is provided. Root, trains, dem, UTM, and then vector. And then the session layer, which I don't ever work with. So, but that's all I've done here, but I kind of just did this to give a little bit of detail into the industry itself to kind of show, like, you can actually offload stuff here. So, like, this is the pump control. This is, like, some sort of housing area here that would probably have, like, some equipment in it to get the dairy pumped into the main tanks, which are over here. So these are the main tanks where all the dairy gets brought in, and then, you know, just all the dairyisms happen here. This is for regional export. This is for larger, you know, export. And all the rail loading occurs over here, I believe. Yeah, so all the railisms occur over here. Which I guess where we had rail loading doors, which aren't here anymore. Yeah, I could have sworn we had loading doors, but those are somehow gone now. That's probably in transition, so I'll get that fixed. See, I think we had a loading door here and then here. Weird. Anyways, but yeah, then we have the small yard back here, which I love. I mean, I love everything about this industry. It's, in my opinion, probably one of the best industries I've ever built. Some texture issues here, which I'm not sure why is happening. I should actually probably just go ahead and delete the missing assets, because there's probably something fucked up on my end. This industry is also surrounded by a dairy farm, so there's more dairy things that happen here. I think did I place cows yet? Was I working on that? Must be working on that. This is actually here. I want to say this farm. I go over to Norwich Walk, which is Madison. Norwich Walk, and then yeah, this should be the farm right here. Doesn't look exactly like this, but yeah, try to represent it the best you can. And then there's like a little trailer park back up in here that I'm just representing because, you know, it's there. You know, trying to represent it the best way I can. I use one extra layer and call it stop moving, fuck off, and put all the stuff I don't want to move on it. Oh, that probably works. Now over here on this track, however, is the aforementioned mined product or processing facility. It doesn't actually have a name. It is owned and operated by the Carrabassett as a service that we provide to the companies in the region to process their mined product, to separate it from, you know, mostly just you know, gravel, earth, you know, dirt-based mixed in with the silver, to separate the actual product from whatever, so we can then separate it and then have it shipped out, which there actually used to be something here too that Sean must have been missing. Same with here, which I'm going to have to speak with him on. He's been, I don't know what happened. Those were all DLS objects, so looks like I have some work to do. And I think same thing over here. There was a building that needs to be here that's not. So Sean's missing something on his end that he just doesn't have or something, so I'll have to get that squared away. But yeah, so all the mined product gets loaded here, and then the actual mined product, like silver, then gets, which Sean said loaded into boxcars. It's like crated and loaded. Which I guess is a thing. I'll have to do more research on that. And then the fill dirt, like, you know, just gravel, whatever, sand, gets loaded back into ore hoppers here, and then just taken for export, wherever you need it, to a sand and gravel company, you know, and they can go ahead and just sort it out there for fill dirt. But beyond this facility, pushing back up the Norwich Walk Spur, heading towards the Central Main Airport of Norridgewock. There is a landfill owned by Waste Management that sits right here, just to the end of the runway, right up here at the airport. So that will get modeled eventually. Heading back to the spur, I'm going to try and speed through this because I'm getting tired of just constantly talking and showing off miles and miles and miles of blank dem. So we pass through this bridge heading into Norridgewock. We cross over the road. There was like a big mill complex there, which I think they turned into lofts. So there's no actual industry here in Norridgewock. We cross over by this really nice arch, concrete arch bridge. Cross back over the Kennebec, and we get into a 50-mile-an-hour section, which this is the low section that kind of comes down real low and tight alongside the Kennebec, and is probably one of the fastest sections on the current Kennebec sub that we have, especially in this kind of, as we call it, the metropolitan area between Scow, Norwich, and Madison. We're now reaching another kind of major junction point, which I gotta flesh this out a little more because I'm not a fan of the junctions, how they are, but again, early state. So these two tracks here are the Kennebec sub. That far track is for the Pine Liner and the Madison Station. This outside track is the Nordica sub. That is the lead to go over there into the Y for the Nordica. The two tracks for the Abenaki continue to the right, and then head up this way into, goes by Madison Station, and then these tracks reconverge with the Nordica sub again up here, and then all converge back into each other. So this is a major point for the railroad itself, because this is where I wrote Dilly Dilly on the dem. But on top of that, this is where, again, the Abenaki and the Nordica, or I'm sorry, the Kennebec sub, not the Abenaki, the Kennebec sub and the Nordica meet. So the Kennebec sub meets two different subdivisions along its journey. It's very, it's not a very long journey, I don't think. But then again, I don't have all the mileage drawn out yet. But the Kennebec sub isn't incredibly long, and two subdivisions converge with it along its way. Abenaki and Nordica. I am going to take you up the Nordica, because it's not very long, and it won't take me very long to get up that way, and it's actually the redone Nordica that you all sat through me with on a live stream, so there's not much to say about it. There also isn't a whole lot of industry up on it, so it's kind of mostly just a connection point to Farmington, which is still a point that we interchange with Pan Am to go to Rumford, which a little okay on, but it is what it is. But so previously, the Nordica sub never used to have this this east-facing track. This east leg never used to be there. It was only, you had this one bridge that came across and hooked you back up toward Northampton, which didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, why would we have a subdivision meet but only allow you to go one way? So I added this section in here to connect you in to go towards Skowhegan and Waterville, and, Corona and Bangor, if need be, from Farmington. So we start out here with the siding, the holdout for the interchange in the Y, where all the trains on the Nordica will wait. And then we just get in a single track. The first town we hit along the way should be... Let me get my map open real quick again. Let's bump over to Norridgewock. So the first town we kind of go by on the way is Starks, and then we pass through Starks, we go through... We go through Starks, we go through Allen's Mills, and then we end up in Farmington. So there's only just a couple of towns that we pass through. And we do pass through quite a few, little municipalities like Weeks Mills and stuff like that. Goodrich Corner. We kind of pass by those. But the only real town that we go through is Starks. And then technically speaking, Allen's Mills is a part of Farmington. So it's Madison, Starks, Farmington. That's it. So now we're heading into Starks. Now that we've crossed the Kennebec, we're in Starks. It's pretty desolate out here. I am going to be putting another lumber loadout just because there's nothing thing that goes on here. I mean, this is probably one of those weird subdivisions that didn't need to exist, but does anyways. Which actually I still have my mile train sitting up here. Before I forget that again. It's pretty hilly. It's pretty hilly coming through here. It is defined by a lot of steep grades that change fairly quickly, just because there's not a lot of ways around them. And the effort on this new revamped version was to shallow some of the grades out, which I did accomplish in some aspect, to make them a little more longer, try to use more bridges and less cuts, and more fills, and to kind of also lengthen the corners out to keep track speed up to connect to Farmington a little quicker. So here itself, like, this is Starks right here along Main State 43. The big feature of Starks is this viaduct that crosses over the stream down here, I believe, that sits below, and then Main State 136. So we have this large viaduct, which I think is very beautiful. I love it. It's single-tracked coming through, and then opens up into Stark siding, which just another entry point to allow trains to pass each other and whatnot along the way, as well as allow locals to get out of the way of some of the through freights or passenger trains, because there will be a couple of industries in Starks. There will be a logging loadout facility. Kind of looking at Starks, there isn't a ton, so we're kind of adding something or a few things just to kind of justify Starks being here, or even us just going through it. There's a farm nearby that goes along, that's 134, which is on the other side of Industry Road, which Industry Road is right over here. The farm, I believe, sits roughly, if I can see in the glare of the sunlight, the farm sits roughly, right over here. The farm sits up here. We could maybe hit it, but it's also on top of the hill. Don't like the looks of that, but we will have a small track that comes down along this road to a logging facility. Sean planned a mine out here, which was the big thing, which is a lot of things that kind of justifies going a certain way. So another thing that I have to talk with him on and see what he was looking at and try to determine how big it is, because I'm sure he wants to have it big, when a lot of these are going to be very small, in my opinion. Yeah, so the big feature of this town is this viaduct, which I love. I'm very eager to get in here in detail and put the little creek in, and I think it's going to be a lot of beautiful shots of trains coming through here, particularly in fall and winter time. Winter, especially with the snow and the darker light. So we have track 2 on the right, track 1 on the left, because track 2 is diverging. Coming across a bridge here. The grades, like I said, they're pretty steep. 2.2, so I mean, you're going to be kind of notch 8 through most of this. Trying to get along. You can see there's already a lot of bridges along here. We do level through here a little bit. I did try to do some of that, and then we're already going uphill on a 2%. Nice long bridge. 2.6, so we're starting to head up a large hill, which is kind of the key feature over here, which I'll show you something that I always thought was funny about this section of track. So we're going up 2.6 into this tunnel, which gets this hill and then backs us down the other side. It's a pretty short tunnel, pops out over here and then kind of hook right, going down to 2.2, and then kind of into here. Now the funny thing was about this is you see where this road just hooks a very sharp right over here. Originally, Sean had the railroad pop out somewhere, I think, over here, and it just went across this gap. Yeah, you can see right where the railroad was. It was like right here. The railroad just kind of went across the gap. And, you're like, oh, that's not bad. But when you get down to the floor of the gap, that's pretty tall. That's pretty fucking tall. Like, if I were to drag a bridge across it, maybe minus 0.01, just so that way it doesn't go too far down on me. If I were to take a bridge and just drag it across to something, I mean, that is a tall-ass bridge. and that would have never worked. But that's the way the line went. So there was, I think the line like ended up coming over here or something, but it would have never ever worked. Like it just, that is just a ridiculous height. You know, it's not too tall, but it is just stupidly tall. Like, that's a tall-ass bridge. And it's long, too, so it just would have been a nightmare. So, I said, you know what, no, I don't think that's where we're going to take this, so I took the line around, because, you know, even looking at this road was coming along, and it's like, no, I'm good, Chief. Like, they were probably just building the road along, and like, fuck no. Holy shit, no, fuck that, no, we're good, we're just gonna kinda, yeah, we're just gonna go around. And that's what we did. We were coming along, and, yeah, we're just like, yeah, nope, okay, make a right turn. And we can start looping back in. And then we just avoided the whole area. It added a little bit to the line, but, you know, gave us a tunnel, got us through, got us to the other side, just fine. Now the line's coming down through here. It's coming down on a 2% grade, 2.2% grade. Small bridges kind of comes along. Going a little slower through here. This is 35. You know, it's not quite too quick. As it passes through Weeks Mills, heading into Allen's Mills. Allen's Mills, I believe, is right over. Allen's Mills should be back up here somewhere. Oh, I think I already passed it. Yeah, Allen's Mills actually previously was over here, and we used to come right through the middle of it. Sean took the line right through the middle of it, like, no. So actually, we go through Weeks Mills and avoid Allen's Mills altogether. So Allen's Mills is up that way. I will put like a small lumber camp through here somewhere, because there's a ton of logging that goes on through here. There'll still be a small lumber loadout somewhere along the way that the trucks meet us at. Let me start getting into some sharp corners, which I need to edit. Especially that one, I hate this corner. But yeah, we've pretty much now approached Farmington, and now we're just making the final ascent into, which previously Union Station used to be back there, which actually it's still kind of back there, my platform. That's getting moved. We cross the river, make a right turn, hook up with Pan Am, and then enter Sean's yard. Now we're going to do some backtracking because I don't want to take you into up the Farmington secondary yet. I do want to kind of head back the other way to head up through the Bigelow sub and stuff like that before we get going anywhere else. So this is Cascade Yard here in Farmington. It's again one of our meeting points in Pan Am. Sean is still not done editing it. It's a smaller yard. It's very it's tight, especially because of this river, and this is the only real flat piece of land here in town. So real estate was very prime and whatnot. And actually, we're pushing Sandy River Rangeley Lake region for the narrow gauge, because this is the Sandy River. Pan Am's track goes that way. So I'll take you back up the Nordica. Not too much to talk about Farmington. Farmington has not been kind of touched or talked about for a while, as we've been focusing on other portions of the line. And can't really do a whole lot until the yard is kind of completed. We push up past, back on the Kennebec sub, past Madison, through the town of Madison here, which is cool because it's a paper mill that actually kind of sits along all this waterfallage here. There's a lot of cool dams and waterfalls that sit along here, as well as the paper mill that we go right by. So we'll have to put a paper mill in here and use that and figure out how to get it, because there's not a lot of room for trackage along here. They rammed it alongside the river. Another area where real estate was prime. Another cool little fun feature about this area is this bridge right here. This bridge actually sits here in real life. Of course, now it has trees growing on it and grass, and you're never going to get a train across it now, but you know, it's cool because it's still there. So we get on the north side of town, pushing towards the yard. Around a corner up here, and we get into the holding tracks for the yard, which are very long. Could probably be shortened up a little bit. And then this end of the yard needs to get tweaked. Built in a different time. Had to just messing around with stuff. This will get fixed at some point. But this is the south end of the Abenaki, Farmington, and just kind of all points south of the yard. So this is all points south. So this is Northern Main Junction. This is Skowhegan. This is this is just everything that's not heading north. So everything south of here is at this end of the yard, which is why it's so damn big. There is an on-site industry right here, which is, if I have it written down in here, North Anson. Kazinu Wood Products. Either that or it's Mattingly. I believe this is Kazinu's. So I'm going to check that out real quick. So there's Madison. So yeah, there's the series of dams. So there's these island separates these dams, like a dam in the middle of the island. There's a dam it's really cool because the dam separates all of this. It's a big dam right here. It's just incredible. All the dams that they have back up through here.
And the moon, believe in the magic from fairies above. They dance on the flowers and sing songs of love. And if you just believe and always stay true, the fairies will be there to watch over you.
Yeah, and there's the bridge. It's a very weird little area. Like I said, this mill is just kind of crammed right into the side. So we'll figure out how we want to tackle this on a later day. But yeah, it's very interesting. Then there's another dam here. So there's a lot of just kind of dams getting taken along, and it's like a water treatment facility for the mill on the other side of here. So it's a very interesting little area, and how they kind of got it to work around the Kennebec. And it's a cool little pizza shop, like right up through here, I believe. On Main Street, it was the Madison House of Pizza. Bonzo's Pizza. Yeah, Sponzo's, I believe it is. Very good pizza. That was damn good. So Casey's. Like Casey's out west, or no? That was like a Casey's convenience store, like they had back in Illinois. So let's push on. Again, trying to get through this, but yeah, this is Kazinu's that we service. They're a sawmill. We're still gonna have to get it all figured out. One of the unique features of this yard is that it is connected all by this Y right here, and it is split into two sections, also denoted by crossing the Carrabassett River, and then this low bridge over Main State 234. Or either that or 16. Okay, yeah, so this is Main State 16, 234 is over here. Yes, Kazinu's. So yeah, the trucks or cars on... but it's defined by this 10-foot bridge, so very low clearance coming over it. Previously, the yard used to be split into 3 sections, so it had a 3-prong attack, this being all points south, excluding Farmington. This being the Farmington side of the yard, and the points heading that way. There was a couple branches over there we serviced. And this being all points north, Loch Megantic, the numerous amounts of branches and spurs up this way, as well as Flagstaff words. And then the engine service facility was up here. Now the yard's kind of changing a little bit. So there is no need to have the Farmington side of the yard, because the Farmington secondary used to be over here. It's gone. The Farmington side of the yard is gone. So, because, it's connected by this Y, I felt it'd be good to put the service facilities in here so that each side of the yard is relatively close to the service shops and where the engines are parked. Because previously, if you wanted to get an engine down here, you'd have to back it all the way out, come all the way down. Whereas if you want an engine here, you just whoop, whoop, there. But it'd also be weird because you'd have to pull the engine out, back it up beyond the switch, then go in. So now it's just one fluid motion. So there's that. Also opens up this area to kind of expand this industrial park a little bit and actually do some like on-site on-site kind of words I'm looking for servicing. So there can be a few more industries back here as well. I will have to move the office for the Carrabassett and Sean and I's glorious parking jobs. Yeah, it's really, really great parking job that we did there. That guy is sitting in his car. You can't just sit out here, dude. You gotta get back to work. I don't care if you're one-handed. You can't just be sitting in your car all day. Ah yes, the company cars. All Crown Vics. Yeah, so this area is going to be getting a revamp here soon, as I kind of start pushing everything over to this side, kind of changing things around. This has always been one of my favorite sections about the yard. It's just kind of the bridge and the kind of the open field here with there's the brush and the trees and just I felt it was one of my better areas that I've done. Just it does allow for some nice shots, some busier shots along the railroad, because you can kind of get some cars parked up along here, a switcher moving by, previously one of the passenger trains, or like a freight movement coming through. You could kind of build the shot up to kind of look busy, or at least have just a lot of stuff going on all at once, maybe multiple trains passing each other with a train holding, or, however have you, but sorry, swallowed down the wrong pipe. But so it was a nice area for taking screenshots. Then this end of the yard, it's pretty basic. Actually, a local holding there, waiting to head up. These tracks right here are generally reserved for Flagstaff trains. So Flagstaff trains usually get built and put together here. All this is kind of Loch Megantic, as well as the applicable points north. I think I'm going to be moving this to be the North and Portland branch, as well as Kingfield, and then Loch Megantic and and Flagstaff trains will get put together and taken apart here. So this will be for spurs, and then this will be for the 2 major yards. Pushing along, there's a high school for North Anson. Anyways, so now we're heading to the north side of the yard, which is now entering the Bigelow sub. Another area that I kind of gotta edit because it just goes on for too long and the speed limit stays slow, and a big part about the operation is, we need to get things moving a little quicker because we have the potential to move quickly. Also, the grades through here I got to play with because they're just unnecessarily steep. The only thing that's going to be kind of an issue with this area is right here. Now, right is heading up into the Salon branch, which there's nothing up there currently. And even how it's going to be redone is getting talked about by Sean because he wants to hit some large tomato farm, which sits it's back here somewhere. It's north of Madison. Yeah, right here. They just grow tomatoes here. That's all they do. These two large buildings, they just grow tomatoes. That's it. That's all they do. These two stupidly huge, fucking redundant buildings they didn't even go past on the street view. All they do is grow tomatoes. That's it. That's all they do. That's all that's done there is tomatoes. This large-ass greenhouse facility just grows tomatoes. That's it. Nothing more. And I'm like, why? Why is it just growing tomatoes? And that Sean is hell-bent on servicing this facility. Which, I mean, I can get why. Looks like weed. But, they just grow tomatoes! That's all they do. Like, look, it's just on their fucking sign. Oh, that's nice. That's some nice flowers they got going on there. I like that. Yeah, it's called Backyard Farms. They just grow tomatoes! That's all they do! So this is a whole greenhouse, a freaking huge amount of, like, if you were to move this over, that would take up about most of the baseboard. This whole facility takes up roughly a baseboard. So a baseboard worth of tomatoes. And Sean wants to hit it. I'm like, no, I don't want to touch it. Just, duh. But we're gonna go hit it, so fuck me, I guess. So we're going over there, we're gonna hit it, but the thing is how do we get there? Sean wants to loop the Salon branch, which goes up to here, all the way back around, down to hit it. Because previously he's like, oh, we'll just take the yard and just across, and I'm like, no. So I think how we're gonna hit it is we're gonna come south out of Madison, right by the bridge, and just kind of loop into it. And then I just want to say done, nothing else. I don't want the Salon branch to come any further south. I just want it to end. So, so that'll be that. But yeah, stupid tomatoes. The Salon branch will have logging and like a sawmill up there, but that's about it. And a Mofka, I believe, but it's not modeled, and I just don't feel like heading up the Salon branch. The thing is, right here, the speed limit is reduced to 20 for this junction. You're like, all right, well, that's fine. Well, why don't you just take it and smooth it out? Well, the problem is, Sean was designing a station that would sit right here on the corner. Right here. On the corner. And he modeled it specifically to match this radius, which I don't know how far along he is with that station. I don't know what progress he's made on that station as of late. I don't know a whole lot. So I would like to elongate the corner, pull it back some, so I can get the speed increase around here just a little bit, just so it's not so slow, but I don't even know what's going on with this section, because I don't know how the station is looking, I don't know what the future of the Salon branch is, I don't know. All I know is that Sean does build the station. You know, this corner has to stay the same. Even if we get rid of the Salon branch, it still has to stay the same, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But as quickly as we go through the 20, we bump back up to 40 through here. This is where things start getting a little interesting. Sorry, my Honest texted me. Anyways, so we're kind of coming up along, just trying to get to places that Sean wanted to hit along the way that originally were going to have Pineliner stops, but have since not. The grades through here so far aren't the worst. The corners like this one needs to get fixed, elongated out, in hopes to maybe even increase the track speed because there's nothing going on out here. Potentially some logging and stuff like that. It's the same song and dance that you're going to see the whole way around. If it's not logging, it's gravel. If it's not gravel, it's logging. If it's not any of those two, you're probably in a town doing local things. And if you're not in a town, you're just trying to get to a yard or to a populous center where there are things. Because, like I said, if you're not in a town, it's gravel or logging. And if you're not doing gravel or logging, it's just track. Very rarely are you ever going to find something that's not in a town that you're going to service. And plus, we're starting to get into very rural Maine, like very rural Maine. Like Madison's one of the last large towns before you get further north. But this is one of the larger hills that we go up, 2.63. So I'm going to shallow this out, because originally Sean took the route and went right through there on a big old bridge and a big old fill. I said no. I took the route left, which is another reoccurring theme, is me going no. Retook the route, came down this. It's still on a large grade though. This could be better. You know, could fill that more and kind of ride this large fill. But the only issue is that you're going to come through here. And we're already on a fill, so I mean, we're trying everything we can to kind of, you know, maintain the grades. I met this at a crossing. I could probably keep this higher, make a larger fill, bridge the road, and try to get back up this hill, which is now on a 2.7, which then shallows back up to 1.9. But, you know, all things that I could try to do to make this better. But instead of going straight across, we kind of make this, like, large, swooping motion. Which eventually the line would have met right back up here anyways, to go through this small tunnel. And then we kind of ride the side of this lake, which this lake... Stupid fucking tomatoes. This lake... What's this one? Oh, this is Emden Pond. Which it's weird because, you know, you look at it, you're like, how is that a pond? You know, because, like, you have over here Wessarunset Lake, which is a little smaller, you know, even though it's a little wider, it's a little wider, but it's smaller than Emden Pond. But this is a pond and that's a lake, even though that's smaller than that. How does that make sense? I'm pretty sure there's like some ponds that are named a lake somewhere. I forget where exactly, but I've seen it. And then, like, up here you have Lyman Lake, which is on the backside of this really impressive dam. Which one I can't get you? Oh, I can't get you street view. Pretty sure we went whitewater rafting out of here. Almost positive I went whitewater rafting down here. Like, that's an impressive dam. Anyways, now that I'm done looking at the dam. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we went whitewater rafting out of here. Because I think it was here. It was either there or... It was actually north of here. I think we had to go through Caratunk. Yeah, there's the forks, there's the Dead River, Moxie Falls Trail, Kennebec. Yep, there it is. Harris Station Dam. Unfortunately, there's no Kennebec River Landing. Yeah, can't really get up there. Anyways, enough about that. Getting sidetracked again. But yeah, so that's a pond. I don't understand how that's a pond, but it is. So that's Emden Pond down there. It's weird. Anyways, we hook left, go into this tunnel. Pop out here, which this track has always bugged me right here, which I'm gonna fix right now. Oh, no, I didn't want that. Yeah, I'll figure that out. But yeah, so we pop out here, and I love this bridge. For no other reason than it's just, yeah, it's nice. I didn't measure it though, which kind of concerns me. Probably should go back and measure it, but I've always loved this bridge just being underslung. It doesn't need to be underslung, but it did. Because previously, the tunnel popped out here, you went across on a bridge, and then popped back into the tunnel. I actually think you even went, I don't know, it was weird, but you were like downhill on a steep slope, like falling into this tunnel, and it's like, yeah, you're on a slope here, but at least it's just one tunnel. 1.49, I think the other one was like a 2.6. It was strange. And there's this bridge, which is rather nice. Then we hit North New Portland siding. This is North New Portland siding. It's where the track speed jumps up from 35 to 50, but it's the first major siding heading north out of Bigelow. So this is predominantly, if the yard's ever backed up for whatever reason, this is going to be a major, this is like the last major point before you hit the yard. So, and it's one of the first times heading north where the through track is on the right and the siding track is on the left in the northward configuration. The actual true configuration that I attempted to do my way, the passing siding's always on the left, the main line's always on the right, track 1, track 2. The only area where it worked out, I think. Coming into North New Portland, going across the river here. I believe this is the Carrabassett. Yeah, that's the Carrabassett. Previously, where I turned to go into North Anson. I was trying to get to Emden Pond, I turned right, but I was actually up here and missed Emden Pond by a long shot. But so the line comes across. Also, our second station along the way, heading northward. So this is the North New Portland station, which will be changed, but just a standard model. And as you can see back there, there's some trees, so this means we're getting close to a scenic area. Did some editing with the line here to further kind of change the routing, because previously we used to grade up. They're like bridge, then it was like a fill, and then we curved it. It was another weird section of track. But so I put the fill in here, kind of redid the track, nice slow right, slow left, but we have the branch. This is the East New Portland branch. So that was North New Portland, we have East New Portland, and there's a New Portland. There's no West New Portland, and there's no South New Portland. It's just Northeast and New. So that's how that works. But anyways, so we have the East New Portland branch. So we back down here into, respectively, East New Portland. Key notes about this branch is there's 2 runarounds on the branch. The first one here, and then further up the way by Hoodlet Sawmill. There's 3 industries on this branch, and 2 of them are fairly large. The first one is actually back up here. This is Ladue Mining and Excavation. I believe this is a copper deposit back up here. But this is one of the more fleshed out mills or mines that I've done so far that at least has a basic representation and some kind of scenic detail that you can clearly see and make out and whatever. But this is Ladue Mining and Excavation, and actually this is what I was building when they were storming the Capitol building. So this is what I was doing all day while that was going on, was building Ladue Mining and working with the sawmill back there. Oh, my cat's being so cute. But So it's pretty well put together. It's pretty well secure in here too. So they have, it's actually one of Joe's nice new assets that he will inevitably be releasing eventually here soon. But it is a pretty secure facility, keeping people out. It's also fully functioning too. The gate, it's one of these YR or YZ gates. I did it to even where like the train pulls up. You know, if you haven't flipped these switches, then you can't open the gate. And of course, then you have this derail too, which is kind of cool. But anyways, yeah, holds about 25 cars. I was just messing around with some of Little B's cars because they have the Little B script, which is cool. Which I'm trying to have someone create a kind of replica script because you can't. I asked if like you could reverse engineer it. He said he couldn't because you can't open it, which is fair. So he's gonna create his own script that does the same thing. That will be for Carrabassett, so you can accurately load a car as such, and tell, you know, hey, am I overweight? No, I'm just about fully loaded, and if I put anything more, I'm going to be overweight on the car. So it's kind of cool, this script. I wish more cars would utilize that. I know these open hoppers are vastly outdated in terms of their era, but I'm just using them for now because, like I said, the script's nice. Go up here, you hit the second run around. This is for the sawmill, which sits up here. Oh yeah, the road. Beautiful. Love it when the road does this. Yeah, so you have the crossing up through here. What's up, Tobes? Oh. Obligatory cat petting time. No, stop it. Can I pick you up? You ain't gonna like it, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Hey, buddy. Oh, hello. What are you gonna do? Ah, some good Toby pets. And he jumped off. There you go. You gonna go eat? Yeah, you go eat your food. Alright. So yeah, up here we have Hoodlet's Sawmill, which is dedicated to my late uncle. His last name is Hoodlet, so I was trying to name this sawmill up here, so it's dedicated to him in theory. So they just basic sawmill, just turns out a lot of product. Another asset used for a sawmill that I use this up because he used products because there's no sawmill assets for trains, which is kind of upsetting. But so this is one of the large assets, and the cool thing is I've tried to replicate this area almost one for one with building placements in kind of particular style, as well as the town office placements. Except for that doesn't actually look like that. It's just a kind of building that looks like that. And I just want to get rid of the porch out back, so I put a little that back there. Fire station basketball courts there, so it's been kind of cool, like replicating an area in some way and kind of just making it come alive. I mean, granted, still missing some detail. This isn't actually here, but I wanted to use another one of Joe's assets. So I use this corner store here because I figured there'd be a little more traffic kind of coming through town, especially with the industries up here. Tobers. What are you gonna do? Hey, buddy. I am live streaming, sir. And the only other industry back or on the route is back here. This is Northern Energy. It's just a small home heating oil facility. Still lacking most detail. You know, not very well detailed yet, but getting there. You know, this area is kind of getting there. It's one of the first branches that I've heavily detailed. I mean, you know, calling this heavy detail. You know, even with the trees really close alongside the track. The thing I'm missing right now is a brush. I've only really put a brush alongside the track through here, and it's just not as thick as I need it to be, so They still have a lot of work to do. Isn't that right, Tobes? Here you go. Play with your bags. Play with your shopping bags. Like. Crazy kitty. Crazy kitty. Oh. You're a cat. Yes, that's just the branch. Like I said, 3 industries, really basic. It gets serviced fairly often too, especially with that that sawmill. It's almost a daily operation. It can be serviced up to a few times a week. The mining company is serviced a couple times a week, and the home heating oil gets serviced. I want to say once or twice a month. So one of those locals, you can always throw that on. We're back to the Bigelow sub heading out. My voice is starting to go. Like I said, I wanted to make this one the big one, just showing the whole route in its current state to you guys as more of a progression, especially for the 50th live stream. Tunneling through here, heading north, still on a 2.35. Hey, sorry, mouse texted me. I'm supposed to snow on Wednesday, Thursday. So a lot of this area through here between North New Portland and Kingfield is the mountain pass. Looking at this area from the ground, you're starting to see larger hills in the way. When you look behind you, you kind of see the same. So this is kind of the valley in between, and Kingfield is kind of the same on the other side. So we kind of have to get through this swath of mountains, and that's precisely what we do here by climbing along our steep grades. And predominantly why the Bigelow is one of our more grueling sections, because this is the lead up as to what it's almost like the precursor. This isn't the really tough section, but it can really stress a train out and push a crew to its limits, especially with depending on what the train's hauling. A lot of grades that switch between 2% down to a shallow grade. Coming up this is actually a very interesting bridge. 2.7 on a bridge, heading into the tunnel to get over this hill, which probably could have gone around, but it would have added a lot more track, and then it would have been steep anyways, because maybe not, I don't know. It would have been steep coming down, I think that's what Sean said. As we come down the hill, you're in a 40 zone right now, and I think at the bottom you hit a 50. Come across, and now you're hitting control point Kingfield. So this is Kingfield. Back here is the Farmington Secondary, which I will quickly take you down and back up. So this is the Farmington Secondary, which hooks into the Bigelow sub, which this is the new Farmington Secondary. This was previously the new North New Portland bypass that took you from Farmington to Kingfield, and then later ended up replacing the Farmington Secondary. Looking on this list, we do have a small Y right here to then lead into Farmington to service the industrial park. This is going to get tweaked because I don't particularly like the track setup heading into it, which there was a building here. I'm going to have to get on Sean's case about missing assets, because I don't know what the hell happened here. There was a building. This here is the Poland Spring bottling plant here in Farmington, or Kingfield, as you can see here, Poland Springs bottling. Back over here, we have a small home heating oil facility again, which is currently represented by liquid propane, which needs to get changed. This is Valley Gas and Oil Company. Moving along, come across the road. Right here, I believe that is New England Wire Company, that are Arc Enterprises. I can tell you in 1 second. There's Valley Gas and Oil. That's pretty with mountains right there. Alright, what are you guys right here? Not a sign for your business. Be on this street. Don't believe so. Well, let's see. Kingfield Wood Products. New England Wire Products. Yeah, so this is New England Wire Products, or company. So that would be right here. So this is New England Wire Products. Then we have Kingfield Wood Products back here, which I don't think we're servicing. Let's see. No, so I'll need to create another spur into that. So I'll do that. So this is New England Wire Products, or then we'll do Kingfield Wood Products back here. We have a small Wayne Organic Farmers and Gardens Association co-op facility for dairy and produce loading. Over here is Jordan Lumber Company, which sits roughly here. It's a hardware store, but you know, assortment of things they'd be offloading. Then up beyond that is this place, Arc Enterprise. They do with the steel fabrication, particularly in bridge building and stuff. So we have a big loadout here. So that's a lot of the Kingfield branch, or Kingfield Spur. Still loose representation. I will be working my way north to work on this next after I finish East New Portland branch. Going along, this section is very short and quick. Not a lot of industries along it. It's just mostly to get trains from the Bigelow to Farmington, because previously you had to go all the way through Northampton and then either over a really steep section or down by the Nordica. But this is the East New Portland, or this is the this previously was the New Portland. It's something. It's the New Portland bypass siding. Wow. Now it's just gonna be the New Portland siding for the Farmington secondary. Which, cool thing is, there's a nice, cool wire bridge down here in New Portland, which I'll take you to. Salem. You can drive your car out onto, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I don't think there's any real need for this bridge to be here, but it's very cool. Its construction. It's a very, very interesting bridge. So, very interesting. Neat little feature. It sure was something. Hey, Sean. But yeah, so yeah, the wire bridge is like right there, so that's kind of a neat little thing that maybe we can add, possibly. But the branch comes, or the tracks come along and then starts going up really steep, 2.6. I believe there's an area that we do hit 3.2 for a moment. I think it's right here on this, what's supposed to be a 2.82, but I believe we hit a 3. Start on the 2.8. It's just trying to get up these damn mountains, which was talking early this morning about rerouting this all around to get rid of this all, but by doing so, we get rid of the fuck-off bridge coming up. I mean, it's very steep 2.8, which I haven't had any issues with so far. Now we're on the old alignment for the secondary, which leads to the key feature to it. This giant fuck-off bridge that, it is a large bridge that it is just a large bridge. Enough said. Yeah. It's so stupefyingly there and just mind-boggling that I've yet to come up with a valid reason to replace it. But there it is, the New Portland Bridge. Coming down, I mean, this is all on a 2.15, so it maintains a constant 2.15 around, which is rather nice, especially for the region coming along. Reaching another bridge that I'm not too keen on, this one more so than the other. Probably because it could have been a little more of a fill out here, but just noticing it now versus earlier, just in my travelings. Bridge is so dumb, and I'm insanely proud of it. Yeah, I was talking to Moose about it this morning. He had some suggestions for it, but I'm like, yep. Anyways, but this is the new Vineyard siding, I believe. Oh, yeah, new Vineyard siding. Because as we're aptly approaching the town of New Vineyard, which I'm going to be redoing this section, and instead of going through that deep cut, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of start turning sooner and have a more shallower cut to kind of come out over here, and also do something with the corner to not kind of meander so much. So we'll kind of come here and start making the turn sooner rather than later. But we come along, and we're still kind of just riding the mountains, because it's just everywhere. Everywhere. Oh yeah, no, I told him, even if we abandon that alignment, that bridge is still going to stand as just a testament to how dumb it is. And how stupidly huge it is. Like, even if I abandon that alignment, I told him, like, that bridge is going to stay, because I am impressed how Sean somehow got the bridge to do that. Just out of sheer, like, this is what happened when the railroad was given a budget, and this is why we don't have a budget. That's supposed to be again. So yeah, so everything's pretty normal through here. There's not a whole lot going on out here. We are coming up on the town of New Vineyard, which, shocking, there's a town out here. Which actually, it's going to be right over here as we pass through this cut, which, kind of like this cut, actually. I don't know why, but I like this cut, how it's like you come through the cut, crossing, another cut. I don't know. I've always liked this section. I don't know if it's just because it's like the road's in the middle of the two cuts and there's going to be a crossing here. I don't know why I like this area, but I do. New Vineyard has an industry, I recall, because I remember driving through it. What's that? Lumber! In New Portland. Ah, fuck. Ah. God damn it. I don't really have a way to get there. Fuck. Anyways. Let me see. Map. Oh, it's Adobe. Hold on. No. Where'd you go? Oh, there you are. That is West. What does West do? West Incorporated, general contractor. Just West. Okay. I was say, where's New Vineyard? So there's Fletch's Mill. Wholesaler. Is that it? do there? So did not actually make anything there? Yeah, that's the town of New Vineyard. Just kind of made wood turning incorporated. Made wood concepts, okay. So it's a wood facility in here. So they do stuff. This is the center of town. So whatever that used to be. Fire station. But yeah, one of the many routes to get to wherever you need to go. So there's 234, which follow up with us and stuff like that. But so there's that place right there that we'll be servicing. So trying to kind of get the cars down in. We'll probably try to figure out a way to take the yeah, we do service them. How we get there is going to be the question. I'm probably going to approach them from this side and possibly just kind of start down the hill right here, cross the road, and then just meet them on the backside. Yeah, so we'll get there, but continuing along, pushing along through New Vineyard, we cross back over Main State 27, through a tunnel, come out, and just there's nothing else out here. Literally, the only stops we make is New Vineyard and heading to Kingfield. Oh, it's a Toby. No. Fuck off bridge. I call it the Snake Bridge. And then we approach Farmington from the other side as we pass through Fairbanks. And then we're back at the yard. So that's where we were earlier on the Nordica, so now I will return us to Kingfield. So we will start here at the Kingfield siding, stay along the main line as we continue along. There's the only building in town currently, Dollar General. The Kingfield Station, which I don't think is going to remain, but it's there for now, and it's cute. And now we're entering my favorite part of the route. I believe through here it's either it went from a 50 to a 40, or it's gone from a 40 to a 50. I forget the track speed change, but now we're entering the Carrabassett Valley and the long climb up alongside of the hill. Which, currently speaking, we're on a 2%. It will shallow out for a brief moment. It gives you that false sense of hope. So we're on a 2%, 2%, 2%. I think about here-ish. Okay, start earning a 1.99, 1.50. Then you hit 1.5. So I mean, you're shallowing out. Doing all right. Stays 1.5, 1.5. So I mean, it's like, oh man, this isn't bad. We could do this all day. 0.7. We have this nice road up here, and if you go up to the top, I believe this is what name is this mountain? This fucking Chevy Tahoe has been coming and going all day. It's kind of been annoying me. This is Mount. Let's see. Oh, this house is up here too. Beautiful. This is Ira Mountain. So this is Ira Mountain, or Mount Ira. We got Joe's cabin up here. There's Joe's cabin with his caboose that they got up this road. Yep, totally. And then down in here we have one of my favorite scenes on probably the whole route is this cabin up here. For my Norwegian friend. So she lives, or can reside up here. Has a pretty nice view. visible from the tracks. Very nice area. So, but again, you know, coming by here, you know, you're doing a 0.7. You're like, oh man, this is great. This is going to be a great time heading up the mountain. There's going to be more kind of cabins and other houses along through here, because this was a whole like residential area, which was kind of cool. Like, I wouldn't mind living up here on the side of the mountain. That'd be kind of fun. Until like an avalanche happens, and that sucks. You know, you're still doing a 0.7. You're like, oh man, great, perfect. It even shouts out to a 0.55. It's like, perfect, and then it starts getting steep again. And then no sooner than you thought you were safe, you're back at you're up to a 2.5. And then you're dying. And Toby's here and he's meowing at you. Can I help you, sir? You ask. He doesn't answer because he is a cat. Get over here. Chugga chugga. Okay, you'll be a cat. Oh, I keep forgetting to put the tunnel in here. There's supposed to be a tunnel right here. It just kind of goes through this little section. But yeah, you're still climbing. You're climbing. And you're climbing. Still doing a 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So you are just dying up here. And then, as quickly as, you know, you have your feet in the casket and they're already writing you off for dead and your funeral's getting going, you start going downhill. Toby. Ugh. No, be a cat. Let me pet you. You're on my desk. Oh, I like you up there. Okay. Yeah, you start going back downhill again. So you've reached kind of the top. You peaked. Your life is peaked. It's all downhill from here. You're back to a 2.2. As we come down the hill, across this gap, which I need to fix with something, or get, I don't know, the bridge pillars here are forked or something. I need better bridge pillars to go across this gap. This actually does need to get fixed a little bit, because it goes back uphill. I just need to stay, you know, either cut through this and then start the tunnel here, or something. But you go down tunnel 2.5, 2.5, you come across this gap, you level out, and now it's starting to shallow out and return to the uphill climb. So that's part of the Carrabassett Valley. There's the Sugarloaf Regional Airport right there. And now you're starting to climb again to get out of here. And part of the reason why you did all that climbing just to kind of come back down around was to get ready for this. We climbed so high and stuff like that, and came back down and kind of ride the side of the mountain. Anyways, so now you're climbing into the actual Carrabassett Valley itself, like the actual proper area of it that everyone has come to recognize. And while climbing this 1.3, you reach Carrabassett siding. So this is one of the last few sidings that you're going to reach heading northward before you cross into Canada. So right here, this is all trains waiting for each other. Predominantly, it's going to be trains coming down from coming down from Flagstaff. They're going to be waiting for trains north because they're just going to be going so damn slow out of Kingfield. It's just a courtesy point too, because you know there's one at the other side of Kingfield. May as well as one beyond the horrible set of grades. So you got that. Now you're climbing pretty much out of this valley because it's a kind of a box valley because there's mountains on three sides, and the only way out is to go down. So it's kind of like a weird plateau region. So it's like a valley above a valley. It's very weird how this is set up. A lot of snow up in this region too. I think they said like average of 20 some odd feet a year. It was something ridiculous like that. 2.6, 2.6, and one of the key features to this area is actually going to be way back here. Is Sugarloaf, the ski resort that actually Olympic athletes will come to train at. It's one of the nicest ski resorts in the entire state of Maine. I would love to go on it for my first time skiing. Um, you can't even see out there right now, but you know, it's an incredible view. And you know, going by in a train, it would be really nice to see the mountain back there, like, as you do currently. I mean, this whole area is just really nice coming into, and just seeing it all by train, just seeing the towering peaks and stuff like that. And you round this corner, and now you're kind of out of the valley. Now you're heading into what they call Bigelow, because I believe the old Sandy River Lake, they had a station right here. It's actually still there. It's Bigelow Station. There right away kind of comes down through here a ways. I don't really know where it goes. The Carrabassett River starts up here. It kind of just comes along the backside. We should Fred his message me. Well, she's typing. Yeah, so you're coming around the corner. It's just Bigelow Corner. Come past the transfer station, which I'll have to kind of move. Not really a featureful area. I mean, just a lot of kind of riding along. There's nothing up here. I mean, it's just all logging. So, you know, logging and just wilderness and people living. Kind of really the only notable feature over here is the Appalachian Trail. We do cross over that being right here. And they kind of go up, and you guys see that white line up there on the side? That's Mount Bigelow. It's one of the tallest peaks in the area. That, you know, the trail will go up, and then it will start just kind of traversing that ridgeline on the peak. So anyways. asked Minori's friend to put me together a playlist of music that she's listened to over the years and might hold close to her, and I just got the list, and she's like, it's all over the place, I'm sorry. So, get to do that later. Yeah, so one of the biggest geographical features here, besides the lake that we're coming up to, is Mount Bigelow, which I believe actually I turned around right about here somewhere. It was like somewhere up in here, and just through the low-hanging clouds and the snow, you could just see the peak of Bigelow poking out. It was just back there. It was so beautiful, so beautiful. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to Eustis, which was what we're coming up onto. Like, we're almost done with this stupid tour of the route that I've intended for. Which actually, Eustis is just around this corner through this tunnel as we come into it on the other side of Bigelow, which this is Stratton Village down here, which have this stupid long spur into and stuff like that that I gotta replace and stuff like that. There's a large, looked like log or sawmill of some kind over there. I believe that was... let me see my note here. So that looked like Fontaine. It was just called Fontaine. And then this is RE Energy Station in Stratton. How this all works, it looked like they were burning a lot of wood chips to possibly heat up water to maybe drive like a turbine of some sort. I haven't a clue how it all works. I couldn't find a lot of information on how it worked, but that's just what I could assume because there were large piles of wood chips, so I can only assume they were using the wood chips as a fuel source to maybe light a fire, to maybe heat a boiler, heat some water, and then, use that to maybe turn a turbine or something. Some way to produce electricity for the region. Possibly clean, renewable, I don't know. But actually, this is another big point for the Carrabassett, is this double track here, which links up with this double track. So this is actually an old abandoned subdivision for the Carrabassett. This is the Rangeley Secondary. So this used to be the trackage that took us to Rangeley, and this is where it hooked in, was up here in Stratton, and would interchange or connect at Flagstaff Yard. So Flagstaff Yard's big purpose was to for the traffic coming north out of Rangeley. Or even, traffic out of Rangeley would head even further north to Lac-Megantic. So that was kind of the big purpose of the Rangeley Secondary. And then over time, it just became a redundant line, and then eventually just kind of got, just became abandoned. There is still one little operation down on it, and it only occurs on this track right here, track number 3 in theory. There is a small little log loadout that sits just beyond this crossing. So you gotta pull up really close to this crossing, and then it goes off, and then there's a string of cars that we parked here getting logs loaded onto it. So there's still use for this line, but that's it. This track right here, not used at all. The heads are turned away on the signal, and actually this signal has lost its signal heads, so it currently has no use whatsoever. But that's kind of the big thing about this part of the line. And you have the old abandoned tower and the old oh, sorry, I was just looking at something quick. Someone, I believe, has messaged me. Look at that a little bit. my favorite part of all of this right here is this bridge. I fucking love this bridge. It's a reminiscent to the old bridge that we used to have. I think there was a large bridge heading south out of what I dubbed Flagstaff Yard, which would have been too far north to be Flagstaff Yard, because it took you a little ways to get to this point. Flagstaff Yard, if on the old Carrabassett compared to this, would have probably been roughly about here. It would have been further up this way, which wouldn't have made too much sense, and the line kind of meandered around a while and got to this point. The old bridge used to be a bit shorter than this. This monster, I forget how big it is. I think it's from this point. Yeah, it's about 2,100 feet, pushing 22. Oh. Now the big thing over here too, beside the bridge, is actually this station right here. This is currently the terminating point for the Lac-Megantic Limited, or whatever we so happen to call. Hey Chris, welcome back. So whatever we so decide to call the Lac-Megantic Limited, sorry, like everyone's messaging me now, and I'm just trying to keep up with everyone. So whatever we so decide to call it, terminates here now. It doesn't go any further north to Lac-Megantic anymore. It goes to here. Alright. Hopefully that's it. I mean, I'm almost done. But so, like I said, the train turns around here. AK Master. And this is where it goes. I mean, ever since Lac-Megantic kind of blew up, I mean, there's no real reason for the LML to go further north. I don't believe it is now. I could be mistaken, but I know it's for a long time that's where the LML was terminating, was here in Flagstaff. Anyways, but moving on. So the yard has gone through a few revisions and such. One being that I lengthened it previously from its old alignment. I think it used to go to about, I want to say here-ish, because I think that's what all these were with the old, where the track used to curve into. So I lengthened it out quite a bit more to fit longer or more cars into it and whatnot. Also changed around the engine facilities to add just a smaller engine shop, because we need that up here, because it's like Sebasticook, it's another kind of northern, it's kind of an outpost, it's not close to the main yards, so it kind of needs its own little small engine shop. Predominantly, this yard handles a lot of lumber products. There's a lot of logging that goes on up here. It handles all the cars for the paper mill that's up the way in Chain of Ponds. Previously, there was a spur behind here that serviced a logging camp that I've since taken out. Now it's just the Y to turn the train around, such as the LML, which is sitting on here because I had to figure out how long the tracks needed to be so I could appropriately turn the train around. But yeah, just a lot of 4-axle units sitting up here. This is also a end of a what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on one sec. I'm trying to explain something to my friend. 1 second. Okay, we figured out a song. I was trying to remember this song that she shared with me. Um, but so moving on before I get any more sidetracked than I already am. There's not much else beyond here. I've been working a ton up here though on redoing the actual track alignment and how, just curvy and crazy the rest of this track is. So this is all just 40-mile-an-hour track through here, all logging. I mean, this is just all logging. All these roads that we're passing through are logging. So there's just so much logging that goes on through here. So there's going to be quite a few areas where we're going to have it's gonna be a few loadouts for lumber in this section, probably one or two at least. But previously the track used to curve left here, and you can kind of see the old alignment. This is what I've been working on mostly lately, is this right here. But anyways, so the line came down here, and it steep, crazy, curvy, comes down this really weird 2.6% grade onto a bridge, and right about here, whoa, but right here, the line went from 40 miles an hour to 25 at the bottom of a hill. Tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't. Then it would meander its way through the hills, all doing 25, around some really sharp corner. So what I did is I could take the speed from I was able to elongate these corners and kind of stretch it out, and also reduce the grades from an average 2% to about an average of 0.5. So the track speed's gone from 25 in this section to at least 50-55. So you can see the new alignment, how it's just kind of better, really. And this was a suggestion from Moose to kind of do this. You might know him from the Approach Medium server, because most of my audience tends to be from there. So this was kind of his suggestion to do this. He kind of got me to do this, so... Come back across this, the Dead River, and then cross 27, the Arnold Trail, and then we start linking back into the familiar territory of Chain of Ponds. But you all should recognize this area, especially considering how long we've been working on the Carrabassett. Very little's changed up here except for just some of the corners, just again elongating them, just making them more gradual. Track has actually taken down lower. And now we enter Chain of Ponds, and this is it. Anyways, so the chain of ponds. So they got the big paper mill, and that's about a daily service industry. I mean, you got chemicals, you got wood chips, you have pulpwood, recycled paper, you have the empties coming in and out. I mean, they have their own freaking yard up here. You know, they have their own yard and they have their own dedicated switcher up here. So I mean, there's just always something going on up here. The rest of town, kind of sleepy. You have one, or I think actually just one center beam can fit up here. Try it real quick. Yeah, one center beam gets loaded here, or offloaded there. And then back here is the Mafka, where 3 tank cars get loaded and up to 4 box cars can be loaded at a time. And once you get through town, which, you know, I've been working on redoing a little bit, so it looks a little better. Looks a little more populated. But after that, you know, that's it. Once you leave town, once you go this way, that's it. You're through town. You go up the side of this hill on what now is a 1.7% grade. Come down this, which previously used to be more over here, kind of following along the side of this hill, I want to say, yeah, right here. And then it would make this really sharp left-hand turn. So I got rid of that and moved the track over here to, you know, increase the speeds, because it would go from 35 down to 25. I'm hoping to get 45, 50 out of this, and then we hit our last siding before the Canadian border. This is Caribou Bog siding. I think it's one of the only sidings not named for the town it's in. It's actually named for just the body of water is nearby. Previously you went left, kind of meandered along a hill, really slow. Now it's picked up slower corners. But it's pretty much the only thing going on out here. Like, probably a logging camp somewhere up in here. So yeah, we've got logging coming up through here. Sorry, I'm like falling apart over here. My voice is starting to go. But this is kind of to emulate the bridge that we used to have along the Coburn Gore, because this is where we are. We're in Coburn Gore. This is kind of to emulate the Coburn Gore bridge. Because we had that big long bridge that went across that very huge gap. Not as deep as the old one, but still there. But then we cross the Canadian border, and then that's it. And once we get up to here, it's just double track, main line, 55 miles an hour. Coming down through the hills. We enter St. Augustine to Woburn. They have 2 places of service here. They have... let's see, I wrote down anything here. No, I didn't. Fuck. But there's two places up here. I believe one is... let's see, I'm just going to go look at it on the map because I forgot to write it down. I didn't do any of the Canadian serviced areas yet. That's not Canada. This is Canada. That's not Canada. south. There we go. I mean, look at that, just lumber. Fontaine again. And then Multi-Boy, or Multi-Boy, what, Multibois? Multibois, I believe it is FL Incorporated. And that's it. That's really all we get beyond here. It's these two lumber mills, and then it's just jumping north to Mechanic Farm. The tracks north, and there's just nothing out here. Just trees, fields. Then you have the bog for the actual lake, which I have got to do something with this because I don't particularly care for this grade. Might have to maybe jump this way, then bring it back in slowly. I just don't care for that grade. I'll figure it out. Very, very steep grades through here, which not particularly a fan of. You know, 2.67. We hit the crossover and the entry to the yard. That I know Sean kind of tinkered what I want to say. Minus 0.85. And then we reach the yard, which Sean is still working on it. I'm not too particularly sure about how the yard works itself. Like, I know this is CP side, I know this is our side, and you have the station over here, but not too sure how the yard works all in all yet, but I'm sure I will as time goes on. And then beyond that is just the CP line into Mechanic, which Sean removed the fire, so that's good. And then that's it. Then that's all the Carrabassett. All, you know, took, what, 3 hours to show? Maybe 2.5 or so? It kind of started falling apart there at the end because now people are messaging me as the days kind of pushed along, but yeah, so it's quite a tour, and I mean most of it is nothing there. But anyways, but that's, like I said, that's the route. All 300 some odd miles of it, and most of what I have planned out now. I mean, most of it is just trackage, and that's what's taken us a long time, is getting the trackage down and planning out where we're gonna go. Because that's been a big part of the route, is planning where do we take the route, you know, readjusting the alignment, and all the, you know, interesting things about that too. I will say a good chunk of the trackage has remained in the same place since we've laid it, but a lot of it has been tinkered with a little bit in some way, shape, or form, be it the grades or the, you know, a lot of it is going to get kind of a revamp with the corners. So it's a big project, obviously, but I've been going for a while. I do have to get ready here shortly because I know my mom's coming down to town here in a little while. I will probably be on a little bit later tonight, not for long, because I do want to get to bed at a reasonable hour, because I have been going to bed at a reasonable hour now, just trying to keep my life on track while I'm not doing anything. So I hope you guys appreciated the route tour. I will, like I said, I will try and get on later on this evening to maybe do an hour or two of actual building, maybe even just run a quick train, just be it wherever. Probably should build, though, and use my time wisely, because I need to start getting moving on this. I also would like to talk about beta testing a little bit later on and how that's going to go. So anyways, guys, like I said, appreciate you all for watching tonight, or this little bit this afternoon. So I will talk to y'all a little bit later on, and take it easy. See ya.